45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, well, that Aaron Rodgers is a little scary. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I don't know if the Patriots are just bad, unprepared a little bit last night, Pearl, but Aaron Rodgers looked vintage. This looked even better than his last season in Green Bay. This looked more like the guy who's just finding everybody, elevating the play of the entire offense. The final score over the Patriots was 24-3. It seemed like way more of a blowout than that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for E.J. Stewart. I feel bad for all the Jets fans that we work with.
You feel bad? Wow.
Yeah, I feel bad because the football gods have decided the script will be that Aaron Rodgers looks like he's 29 years old. The defense looks nasty. Everything is perfect. They have the easiest schedule in the NFL. So the heartbreak's going to be even worse this year when they Jets it up.
Oh, come on.
Because everything is, I mean, you look on paper.
Today of all days, you're going to do that?
You look on paper, like there is no reason this team doesn't win 13 games because they play Denver next week, who's the second worst team or second or third worst team in the league. They're going to be 3-1. There's just nothing missing on paper. So that's why I'm almost saying that as a compliment. There's so much reason to be optimistic. Knowing the Jets' history, that'll make it hurt even worse if they lose this because they have such an opportunity here.
Okay, but if Rodgers is going to play like this, I'm not trying to fast forward too much, but if this is the way we're going to take it, who's to say this is the last season? You know, like Rodgers last night was not only looking good in terms of the arm, distributing the ball, finding his guys, I guess except for Garrett Wilson, maybe there's a little more to be developed in terms of the chemistry between those two guys. But, I mean, he had everything working last night. He's hitting the tight ends. The run game was going downhill. You know, he's spreading things out to the receivers, the tight ends, all that. The offensive line might be a bit of an issue, but Rodgers was able to escape. He was able to run for first downs last night. And it was funny, at one point in the broadcast, Kirk Herbstreit says, I'm no longer holding my breath every time Rodgers takes off or every time he gets hit or goes down. I don't know if I'm there with him on that, but he certainly looks a lot more mobile, a lot more spry. And you do kind of forget at some point during the game, you're watching a 40-year-old coming off an Achilles, right?
Absolutely. But about the next year, like they have to be. This is an all-in year because the AFC is really falling apart around them. The Chiefs can't move the ball offensively. The Ravens and the Bengals are both 0-2. Like the Jets have a great opportunity this year. I think it feels like I agree with you. Rodgers looks like he could play 5 more years if he wants. He looked more mobile than he has way more mobile than the last time we saw him with the Packers. So this is it though. It feels like everything is lining up Jets. And to be totally honest, I was half kidding, but I feel like the Jets are excited but nervous because this feels like a totally new Jets team, right? Like, when's the last time like we felt this way about the Jets?
It's been a while. It's been a long time. And honestly, you've probably never felt this way about a Jets quarterback since Joe Namath, and you and I were not alive for that.
Wow. Peak Chad Pennington, it was pretty good. But,
yeah, sure.
EJ, you got me with peak Chad Pennington.
Love Chad Pennington. Okay. My all-time favorite Jet.
Ball never hit the ground when Chad was out there.
Yeah, let's see. Let's give Rodgers, we might have a new all-time favorite yet. But this is a franchise that's been so snake-bitten. This is the opposite of the team that they were playing last night, who enjoyed 20 years of Tom Brady, who was like the guy who instilled more fear into the opposition when he had the ball and needed a touchdown or needed a win. And now the Jets have that guy. Now, it's weird that you would immediately go to, the Jets should be like preemptively nervous.
Oh, yeah. That
Why
thought was
can't
at
they
my
just
head.
enjoy it?
because of NFL history, Maggie.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, it just looks so good. It almost
great.
looked comically good. I'm like, because he was rolling out to the left, rolling out to the right, and it was a work of art to see Aaron Rodgers play quarterback. That's why.
They were literally chanting his name last night in the third quarter. Here's Rodgers on getting the love from the crowd.
All those chants are really meaningful. I was kind of hoping for a stop there to be able to take a final knee on the field, but special night.
Yeah.
That's being a little selfish, Aaron. But okay.
Listen, he wants this to go as storybook as anybody. I mean, Rodgers is like basically manifesting all of this maybe. But yeah, this is a little scarier than I thought it was going to look. There was that one first drive, or maybe it was actually the third drive of the game technically, against San Francisco, and it was like, oh boy, the Jets are going to be a problem. And then San Francisco turned it up, and the Jets actually couldn't stop Jordan Mason, couldn't stop the run. It was like, well, all right, maybe this is going to be like more a little bit here, a little bit there. Last night it was super consistent. Now, listen, you got to have the Patriots being not good last night to also help this out.
No, like we don't want to get caught up in the moment here. It's hard because it's a primetime game. Next week they should destroy the Broncos. Then they got a couple real tests. The Vikings, and it seems like
that's in London, by the way.
That's in London. It seems like a showdown for the AFC East. So I know this makes you nervous, but it really feels like a two-team race. So the Bills-Jets games are going to be battles because the Jets always play the Bills, right? I know that from sitting next to you. So that is really interesting. I think you could start, oh, God, this is terrible, but you could start thinking about playoffs and like where this can go. There's no reason. There's nothing, not just Rodgers. How about that receiving core? How about the chemistry with Garrett Wilson? Lazard, the much maligned Alan Lazard, feels like a natural fit now with Rodgers. And Mike Williams. Gosh, where was that Mike Williams? He looked great. So I feel like everything's clicking offensively, and we know the defense is good, right? The defense was never a concern.
Yeah, I mean, and they don't even have the full complement of guys, Jermaine Johnson's out of Achilles, Hassan Reddick's in the witness protection program. So they're doing it, and the back end of that defense is also very good. So there was a moment, you want to start talking about playoffs. Yeah, I mean, they're built for the playoffs. They're built. This is the kind of team you want now because they can run the ball and because the defense is so good.
Yeah, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers has been a disappointment in the playoffs the last several years.
It's true. Has he ever had this much?
Oh my God!
Well, he's had talent in terms of Devontae Adams and stuff like that.
I think he was the number one seed twice and lost his first playoff game.
Listen, I have them as the number one seed this year. I had him winning 14 games.
It could. I mean, that still won't guarantee you anything with Rodgers. Remember, they were heavy favorites a couple times and blew it.
So the Rodgers part of this is one side of the story. Another small part, and I really disagreed with this. It's going to be a footnote in this game, but it's going to be something to track for the rest of the season. I know the rookie QBs have not been that impressive. Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels with his legs has been a little impressive, but so far they have not really been the gangbusters group, to hit the ground running in a way maybe we thought they were going to be. Drake May did get into the game last night, and I forgive you if you turned it off at that point. There's about 4 minutes left to go in the game. Jacoby Brissett, the starter for New England, had been getting abused all night. I thought he was leaving there in a cart. I don't understand why they decided to put Drake May in this game because there was no shot that the Jets were going to call off the dogs. The Jets have been waiting for the scales to tilt in their favor against New England for 20 years. So I was a little surprised that Drake May would get in at this point.
Well, the Jets did sack him, but it was more of a gentle sack. It wasn't really.
Sure, it felt like that to him.
But by the way, you say Jacoby was a sitting duck. Dude, you've been in the league 8 years. Like, you can't feel any pressure. You have no clue that there's a guy running at you from 3 feet away. He looked terrible last night.
He did.
Not only did he had, first of all, he missed a big wide open pass early in the game. He had no sense of what was coming, and his drops were incredibly slow. Like, I don't know if it was a coaching staff or him that didn't realize, hey, dude, 5 guys are blitzing because they're not as scared that you're going to throw the ball long at all. And then if they had actually tried to throw the ball long, they had one-on-one coverage everywhere because everybody was blitzing to make up for the fact that they didn't have any defensive ends. Brissett looked terrible last night.
Brissett looked terrible in the preseason, which kicked open the door to Drake May might possibly win the starting job. Remember that whole back and forth? He's the best quarterback on the roster now, and then all of a sudden he wasn't going to start, and it was a whole back and forth that we talked about for a week.
Is Zappy? No, Zappy's not on the roster anymore. I would go, if you don't want to put Drake May out there because you're afraid he's going to get hurt with the backup lineman in front of him, then find somebody else because that was bad for that kind of team where you need a mobile guy or something. Right, not an old stiff like Jacoby Brissett. He just looked terrible.
So here is Gerard Mayo on the decision to put Drake May in at the end of the game.
I just thought it was an opportunity, a good opportunity for him to go out there with the ones and put a few drives together. He moved the ball. We'll watch the film and evaluate.
Yeah, he was also non-committal on whether or not they're going to make a quarterback change after this week.
I don't know. Look, we talk about every single week. You're competing for a job, so we'll get together as a coaching staff and see where it goes.
Could have been worse. You know what? This is good. Gerard Mayo has learned from the past mistakes. Just be non-committal. He's unfortunately a few times been a little too committal and then had to backtrack on stuff. So
well, it doesn't matter what he says. Look at that team he's got in front of him. Like, what are you supposed to do? He could be the most brilliant orator since Abraham Lincoln. Like, when your best defensive player or one of your best defensive players is gone and you are starting who knows who on offense, like, doesn't matter. This guy is at a tough spot. As you predicted, you're like, oh, man, don't want to follow Belichick. B, do not want to have this team.
Yeah, this is tough. I also want to know two very important things. One, can I start betting against the Patriots consistently? Because the first 2 weeks kind of threw me off a little bit because they win in Cincinnati, and that was shocking, knocked me out of my survivor pool. And then the second is Seattle. I know Seattle was coming east, body clock game, the whole deal, but they didn't take them to overtime. They probably should have won that game. So I was like, can I really start consistently betting against the Patriots? Now I feel a little bit better.
Well, there's a group of people in Vegas who know what's going on with the Patriots as well. I assume
people set the lines and the spreads?
I like bet against a. Yeah, I think they're aware. I'm going to try and find the line for next week against the Niners. But by the way, would you start May? Because I would 1,000% start May.
Against the San Francisco 49ers? No shot.
Why the 40? You mean the 49ers defense is as tepid as anything? Like they're not doing anything.
I would be a little concerned about that.
I think
I don't need Fred Warner on my face.
Well, Warner's in the next level. They're not rushing the passer at all in San Francisco.
No, but Drake May can take off. That's the thing. I don't want him totally inexperienced thinking, oh, look at all this green grass.
I think that's
hey. And then all of a sudden Fred Warner's like, kapow. I
think that's a really good start because San Francisco has been hanging back a lot on defense. They're not coming after the quarterback.
They will against the Pats because the Jets never blitz, and they saw this is all Robert Saleh's scheme, and never blitz, and they saw the adjustment that needed to get made, and they were in Jacoby Brissett's lap all night.
Yeah, you got to go Drake May. There's just it's over. He'll be fine. I'm telling you, the list of defenses he faces, the Niners are not on the scary side anymore. If you block Nick Bosa, there is nobody who's going to sniff you on that defense. This is good. Also, they're all hurt. This is fine. Drake May is ready to go.
This is fine. Did you get the spread?
No, I can't find next week's spread. I bet you it's going to be, well, no one knows what's going to happen with the Niners because none of their players are healthy.
Yeah.
But I would assume it'd be 9.5.
855-212-4227. How impressed were you with the Jets? Or was this a little more the Patriots kind of not, I say they didn't show up. They really didn't have the ball very often. And this was the Aaron Rodgers show last night. 100%. 855-212-4227. All right, we've got to get to another one of the biggest stories that we have in sports. What Shohei Ohtani did yesterday. Yes.
Niners minus 9.5. I had it exactly right.
Look at you, handicapper.
Yeah, but the Niners, that's another team we do not know. But the Patriots, here's the other question. The Patriots win another game. I think that's what we're talking about.
Well, that's on the table
maybe
too.
One or two.
Yeah, maybe one or two. We got to get to Shohei. Record-breaking moment last night where he becomes the one and only member of the 50-50 Club. So we'll get to that in just a moment. Again, 855-212-4227. All right, listen up, sports fans. This one's important. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be an unfortunate side effect. That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening, because health is a long game and it's yours to win. Now, here is the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 40 cents for every purchase of shields, guards, and Real Fit products. Void in Mississippi. Learn more at depend.com.
You're in a 4.5 minute break. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We all are watching this guy. Oh my gosh! Shohei Ohtani! The greatest day in baseball history!
Now that I hear it, oh my God. That is maybe a bit of an overstatement, but I understand why Joe Davis was getting caught up it was Joe Davis, right?
Yep.
Getting caught up in the hype because Shohei Ohtani reaches 50-50. Now he's the only member of the 51-51 club. And does it in dramatic fashion. You have the box score, Maggie.
Yeah, 3 home runs. He goes 6 for 6 on the day, the 10 RBIs, and 2 steals. So, 17 total bases, the extra base hits. In every way, it was such an exclamation point. And obviously, Ohtani has a flair for the dramatic here because he entered the 40-40 club with a grand slam for his 40th home run. Now to get to the 50-50 club, it's a 3-homer day. And I think this is it's unbelievable. Let's talk about it. It's unreal what Ohtani's doing. This is a dude who's literally rehabbing major elbow surgery and is coming out and setting these kind of records in a year that no one would have blinked an eye if he had said, I can't even play the whole season. Not only that, the Dodgers clinched a postseason berth yesterday for the 12th year in a row. Now, that's not a big deal for the Dodgers or Dodger fans. You guys expect to be there. But Ohtani has played more regular season games than any active player in baseball right now without playing a postseason game. Over 800 games without one playoff game. And now we are guaranteed, knock on wood, that doesn't get hurt, but now we are guaranteed that he's going to be in the postseason, which is exactly where he belongs.
Well, yeah. The second he signed with the Dodgers, we kind of figured he'd make the postseason. To me, also, we talked about this in the break, Maggie. This is further proof that he should just be a hitter because he's unprecedented as a hitter. He's the greatest hitter of this era. He's Barry Bonds of this era. So do you really need him starting once every 5 games? And you might win that game. You might not win that game. The bullpen could blow it. Why risk the health issue by pitching when you can have the best hitter in the world? Okay.
Well, why have the Dodgers fallen short in the World Series outside of 2020, which Fugazi anyway?
You're going to say starting pitching?
It's because the pitching hasn't been there, whether it's the starters, whether it's the bullpen, whether it's closers, whatever it was. And any Dodger fan will tell you this is great for Ohtani to get these individual accolades. But if you want to win World Series, they may need him to be available to pitch.
Does he really make that big of an impact on pitch staff? Also, too, I think their bats have gone cold in the postseason, too.
You need pitching. And that is one thing where the Dodgers, for all the money they spend and all the future Hall of Famers they have and all of that, the pitching has been the thing. Maybe a little managing, too, a little bats, but the pitching has been the thing.
And you think Ohtani's going to start 2 games like Roy Halladay style and just... That's not going to happen. You guys haven't even pitched in 2 years.
I watched him strike out Mike Trout for the final out in the World Baseball Classic. It was one of the great non-MLB moments in baseball history, and they are going to need that. Watch what happens with the Dodgers this year. Let's watch. The Dodgers are great, but let's see what happens. And if the pitching ends up rearing its ugly head, because they don't have enough pitching right now to win a World Series. And so...
Well, the only key... I was actually looking at the metrics. The only key to winning the National League pennant is to have between 85 and 90 wins. And the Dodgers actually not having 100 wins gives them a chance now. Because that's the only teams that ever get out of the NL are the 85-win teams.
Listen, they built a super team with a clear flaw.
Don't apply logic to the MLB postseason because it'll bite you in the butt.
Listen, it's not for lack of trying. I'm not killing the organization. They tried.
Yeah.
Yoshinobu Yamamoto, they've tried.
Yeah.
Glass now, it's not for lack of trying. But this has been the thing where they can't keep the pitching staff healthy. And I think that's going to happen again. And so they need Ohtani.
This could be the year. They're mixing up the formula because they don't have 108 wins.
Well, they've got 91, and we still have some games to play.
I like what I'm seeing here. They're coming in hungry. Now, listen, the other thing, too, is this lineup is crazy, too. It's not just Ohtani. So we'll see with the Dodgers. I can't wait to watch him in postseason. This is the story of baseball, right?
No doubt.
If he could do anything like this, it is going to be spectacular. But greatest day in baseball history, that's just ridiculous.
Can we put the poll out? Is this the greatest day in baseball history?
That's going to be 99% no. Who would say that was the greatest day in baseball history?
That's why I think there were 3 that came to mind last night. We were kind of talking about this a little over text. 3 that came to my mind without even looking it up. And it was Hank Aaron passing Babe Ruth as a great moment in baseball history.
Yeah.
It was Reggie Jackson's 3 home runs, Game 6 of the World Series. And it was Roger Clemens striking out 20 batters in 1986. Now, guys have gone on and done that since, but still, to me, those were 3 just off the top of my head. I was like, were these 3 better days than Ohtani? But maybe not.
I would say consensus is the Giants win the pennant is the most famous baseball game of all time. There's movies about that day. And also just everything that was happening that day was a big deal. So I'm not sure. I think you need postseason. That's my only knock on this game is it's a regular season.
Andrew Bogish back today, feeling better. Is this the greatest day in baseball history?
Hey, good morning. It's not, but it might be the second. And by day, I mean like a
Full
day
game.
a player has had.
Right.
Not the greatest like Tuesday day for baseball, but the greatest day a person has had. The only thing that to me definitely beats it is Reggie Jackson's 3-homer World Series game. It's in the World Series. It's a 3-homer game, so it's a rarity. But like the other things are either are just not as good as what Ohtani did yesterday, or they're singular moments, which is to me not the same thing as him making history in historical fashion.
Right.
Because no one before has had the combination of hits, homers, RBI, and stolen bases that he had in the game yesterday while getting in both categories to 50-50.
So I think the one thing about this that doesn't sit like perfectly right now with baseball fans or sports fans, it's not the homers. The homers will always be impressive, right? Like we can't help it. We love home runs, and they're amazing. It's the steals. And listen, baseball has made changes year after year after year, and we have not denigrated guys for playing under new rules. Like when the designated hitter came in, did we all of a sudden start saying like, oh my gosh, this is Fugazi if you're only hitting? Well, maybe for Edgar Martinez, took him a little longer to get in the Hall of Fame, but you know what I'm talking about. So they changed the rules that there's only 2 pickoff attempts per at-bat, and the bases are bigger. They wanted more stolen bases. So, and the fact that Acuna had over 70 stolen bases last year, does it take a little of the shine off the stolen bases? I say no, because Ohtani is still, again, rehabbing elbow. He is being aggressive. Like, I still think that the 50 stolen base, now 51 stolen bases, is super impressive, even though the rules have changed.
I think baseball fans are more savvy than that because they judge numbers in context. Like home runs don't mean 1/10 of what they used to mean because they know what happened. So, some guy hits 53 homers in 2009. They don't view that as a serious number. Nobody even cares. And we argue about this. Like, I feel Aaron Judge's home run record would have been an even bigger deal 20 years ago.
Well, yeah, but they were breaking into college football games on ESPN to watch his at-bats. It's not like it went totally under the radar.
But it would have been even bigger if it had been before the steroid era. So baseball fans know numbers.
Well, but before the steroid era, he would have been the first one to do it. So it would have been huge. That's not a fair.
So you don't think home runs are viewed differently?
No, they're viewed differently. But I'm saying, but if he had done it in 1991, people would have been freaking out because no one would have. He would be the first attacking Maris.
Right, but I think that there's always just like nobody will ever view home run numbers the same way we did when we were kids.
Well, but you have to, readjust. Like if someone was about to hit 70, we'd be freaking out.
I don't think so. I think people would be nervous too. They'd be like, I'm not going to. I mean, maybe if you weren't there for McGuire Sosa, I don't think anyone's going to be bitten twice by a 70 home run season.
But Maggie we just lived this. When he just did it, people were getting mad at ESPN for dropping college football to show Judge at bats. People cared.
I also think there is something now where I think a lot of fans, right, wrong, I know guys get pop for PEDs, but I think we kind of believe with the testing, they're doing as good a job as they can to try to catch guys. Back when Bonds is doing this and his head is growing by the day and all of that, even in the time we didn't know it, but we could be more skeptical. I don't think people are skeptical now of Aaron Judge.
Well, I don't want to speak out of turn, but you are more cynical and skeptical than me and Maggie are about this stuff.
About what's going on now, about baseball in this day and age. Yeah.
I'm going to go to the poll machine on the X and get some help here because I feel like it's me against the group once again. People are skeptical of home runs, I believe. Are you skeptical of home run totals? I'll say that yes or no.
I'll join you, Pearl. I agree with that.
Everybody agrees. Who would not be skeptical of home run numbers? Right, are you not skeptical of home runs?
Home runs are home runs.
But
you're young. You missed the whole. You missed the whole thing.
It's just that it doesn't just lower the meaning of them.
Wow.
I totally believe it 100% lowers the meaning of them.
No way.
Well, there's a lot of people who consider Hank Aaron the true home run king.
Yeah, I think it's also the way the game is played, exit velocity,
Balls are juiced.
The fences have moved in, and like guys are only like strikeout or home run. I just feel like there's a lot of reasons they don't mean the same. When I was a kid, I would get a baseball card and the guy had 20 homers. I'm like, oh, I'm holding on to this. This is like a big deal. I mean, the numbers they just changed at a certain point.
Yeah, and I don't like.
Kind of like touchdowns in football, like passing touchdowns. Like
it's not like we're not skeptical, but people didn't ignore Aaron Judge's home run. I think like neither one of us is wrong
but
here.
I feel like it would have been bigger when we were younger.
I think it would have been bigger too if he was going for Bonds' record. I think like going to Roger Maris, where it's like, okay, we got to do a mental gymnastics. This is the American League record. I think for some folks, I think that was also a factor being like, I don't need to. Why are you breaking in for this? This isn't really a record. The record is 73. That's the record people know, and that's the one that people either acknowledge or don't acknowledge.
Here's a question. If Shohei never pitches again, like Perloff wants, does he break the 73?
No chance. No chance.
Well,
I don't know if 73 is possible without using whatever Barry Bonds, the Balco cocktail he was using. I'm serious.
Right. I mean, because this is the other part of it too, EJ. Like, there's also the fact that home runs are not ludicrous. Like, yes, there are guys who hit, like the bottom end of the home run hitter is higher. Like, everybody can hit 10 to 15 homers. But Aaron Judge has 53 right now to lead the majors. Now, he's slowed down big time, but that's not an insane number of league-leading homers. And Marcell Ozuna is fifth with 38 home runs. That's not a lot of home runs. So, yes, home runs are different, but it's not as easy as it was for that point in time where ballparks were tiny and guys were huge. It is starting to skew in a different way.
Yeah, I'm curious about this because the one thing about Ohtani really has going for him, which is the rest of the lineup is really good. He's got other guys, so it's harder to intentionally walk him. Now they were intentionally walking Barry Bonds with the bases loaded. It's all right. We'll just sacrifice the run because how much damage Bonds could do, but.
Also, that stadium probably doesn't lend itself for 73.
Dodger Stadium?
Does it? I
don't think so.
Well, I'm not sure.
I wouldn't say so.
I know it gets deep at certain parts, right?
It's an older park. I mean, it's legit. Like it's legit.
Well, I would just say there are 32 50 home run seasons in Major League history, and a large majority have been since the year 1997.
But how many have been since like 2010?
Let's see. Well, Judge has had a few.
Right.
Yeah. And then Ohtani just did it. Matt Olson did it. I mean, Matt Olson hit 54 homers in 2023. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not putting Matt Olson in the Mickey Mantle conversation.
You don't have to.
Different.
No one's asking you to.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, no one has.
I'm just saying, like, I don't view, like, I wasn't like, oh my God, Matt Olson hit 54 homers. That would have been a much bigger deal a previous generation.
Well, and this is another reason why I underscore why Ohtani's got to win World Series. And I know we generally don't hold baseball players to that same standard like we do football players, quarterbacks specifically, and others, basketball players. Have you won? Have you not won? I think Ohtani needs to win because there are people like Perloff who I think look at the numbers and go, eh. And the numbers aren't as sacred in baseball anymore. And we have become more of a have you won, have you not won culture. Yeah. So to me, that's why he's got to come back and pitch. Because it's got to be by any means necessary that you've got to win to basically like live up to this. I mean, look at Mike Trout. All-time baseball player. No one talks about him. Because he hasn't won. And he hasn't barely played in the postseason.
Well, one number that does impress me, the MVPs for Shohei are going to be, he's going to have a wild run of MVPs because he's probably going to win it again and again and again.
I know, but we talk about MVPs. You and I have this conversation. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers 4 MVPs. You're like, who cares? How many Super Bowls? Like, we do that thing.
Yeah, but he'll win. I mean, Shohei's about to win his third in 4 years. I think that's a pretty big deal. By the way, there have been 7 50 home run seasons since 2017. A lot of Judge.
How many guys?
Yeah, that's probably better.
Let's see. So, okay, Shohei, Aaron Judge, Matt Olson, Aaron Judge.
So he's
Pete Alonso.
So 4.
Giancarlo Stanton.
5
so
guys.
5 guys. That's not a lot.
And to be honest, 2017 was kind of the last we heard of Stanton in a real
Stanton
way.
hit 59. That's a lot.
So was it 4 MVPs and 1 rookie?
Oh, and then Judge at 52 in 2017.
Yeah, but still 5 different players accounting for him.
You got Chris Davis with 53 in 2013.
Yeah, nobody
Jose
believes that
Bautista.
one.
He's on Adderall.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah.
So,
Anyway.
so I think to your point, people
Yeah.
are good now at dismissing guys that don't need our attention. Like for whatever outlying reason, like we're good to go. That didn't matter. Like Chris Davis is an afterthought now. But I don't think people are in any way dismissing what Ohtani is doing. If you want to
Oh, no.
nitpick
I
the
don't apply
specific
that to
numbers,
Ohtani.
but the combination of skills is something that we've never, ever seen before.
I'm not crazy about the stolen bases. I know you kind of poo-pooed that. The stolen bases don't mean much to me because of the new rules.
What
I'm sorry.
Maggie said one yesterday, how many does Ellie De La Cruz have?
64.
That guy's 6'7".
Yeah.
I mean, that never happened before.
Being tall and fast.
Has there ever been a 6'7" guy who's had 64 stolen bases? I guarantee you no.
I don't know how many 6'7" guys could run and play baseball. Usually those guys have like hairy chest and DH.
But Shohei's another exception. Like, why is that guy stealing 50 bases? That never happened
he's
before.
fast.
Ridiculous.
But he never would have done that without the new rules.
No, but what did he have before this year?
But I
He
hope
had 30
so.
last year, right?
Yeah.
Be close to it.
Last year's rules were. This isn't the first year of these rules, right? No.
It's a second year.
Yeah. So
He's
last
had-
year
he had 20 last year and 26 in 2021.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I told you guys last night. I feel like 50. If you can do 50 now, I feel like in the old days you would have got 25, 20.
But
and that's
wait.
to me like I wouldn't be going crazy over a 50-25 season. I'd be like, oh, this is a great skill set. Like clearly he's a great athlete. I wouldn't be throwing a parade for that. So for me, 50-50 is cool, but like we know the stolen bases numbers aren't real.
Well, the funny thing, even with Shohei Ohtani, it's the second coolest thing about him. I mean, the fact that
know.
he's the first pitcher hitter since Babe Ruth.
I know.
It's like even, and I was kind of poking fun at Matt Olson and stuff. Like Shohei is the most exciting player anyway. He didn't even need this number. He is the singular force in this game. We talk about him more than any other baseball player, right?
In the chat, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. Pine Needle is waiting for you to call Ohtani a system hitter.
Yeah.
Let's get to Andrew Bogish, who's got headlines.
By the way, the third most interesting thing about him, because I forgot,
eBay.
Ipe. It goes 1 for Maggie Ipe, 2 the fact that he's the first pitcher hitter in a century, 3 the 50-50.
No, it's 1 Ipe, 2 Ipe, 3 Ipe. How did he not know that his interpreter and his best friend was racked up millions of dollars of gambling debts? He didn't know. Anyway.
So he's an idiot in the 50-50 club.
That's Maggie's
It's
50-50
not an
club.
IQ test, all right?
Let's stick with baseball for a second. I know you guys had to begin the show with Jets Patriots. Had to talk about Ohtani here. But the most impressive and important win yesterday in the greater New York area was on a baseball field in Queens.
The 2-0. That's crushed to left field. Alvarez sends a high drive out of here. Second deck home run. 3-run bomb for Alvarez. 7-3 Mets in the fourth.
That's Keith Rad on Mets Radio. The Amazons 4 homers in a 10-6 decision over the Phillies. First time in franchise history the Mets have scored 10-plus runs in 3 straight games, impressing outfielder Brandon Nimmo.
Pretty amazing that the Mets have played over 10,000 games, and we're the first ones to do this. Have scored 10 runs plus in 3 games in a row. That's pretty special.
And it's a good time to do it. The Mets have won 4 straight, 16 of 20. They remain tied with Arizona for the last 2 NL wildcards. 2 games clear of Atlanta. The Diamondbacks were 5-1 winners in Milwaukee last night. The Braves blew out the Reds in Cincinnati in the afternoon. And the Astros snuck past the Angels 3-1, dropping their magic number for the AL West down to 5 games. Now to those Jets, a 24-3 romp over the Patriots at the Meadowlands on Thursday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers, 27 of 35, 281 yards and 2 scores. One of them to Garrett Wilson, who was asked if this offense is better than his first 2 seasons with the Jets.
Yeah, I ain't gonna fake it. I do. So, it's a great opportunity for me and the whole receiver group. Everyone that's a skill position on offense to, have fun and to play the game we love and score points.
Defensively, the Patriots managed just 2.9 yards per play against the Jets. Drake May did debut in the final 4 minutes, 1 drive, 4 completions. He was sacked twice, raising the Jets' total for the night to 7.
Wait, can I tell you one of the great moments when Perloff and I looked at each other when we started doing the show and we were like, did he just say that? And it was when we were at the Super Bowl in Phoenix and Garrett Wilson came on the set. And we were like, hey, there's some rumors that you guys might get Aaron Rodgers. And Usually when you have a quarterback under contract, like Zach Wilson was the quarterback, generally guys are like, well, we believe in Zach, or we believe in the guy who's here. And we'll kind of see. He's like, nah, I want to get Rodgers. I'd love to have him. We're like, wait, what? He's like, it would be great. I grew up. I love Rodgers. Like, I hope we get him. And we're just like, clip that.
Yeah.
It was a good day.
The 49ers might just want to quit on this season. Already down Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel for multiple games. George Kittle didn't practice yesterday with a hamstring problem. Justin Herbert was back at Chargers practice yesterday, but not for the media portion of the workout, so not sure how he looked on that bad ankle. The Atlanta Dream clinched the last playoff spot on the last night of the WNBA regular season with a 78-67 win over the Liberty in Brooklyn. They'll play game 1 of round 1 there on Sunday. And the PGA of America confirmed yesterday that LIV golfers are eligible for the PGA Championship and the Ryder Cup, assuming they qualify under the normal provisions. Bryson DeChambeau currently third in points for next year's Ryder Cup. Guys, back to you.
So literally no consequences whatsoever of going to LIV.
Yeah, I guess.
Can't play regular season PGA Tour events.
A lot of tax dollars because they made so much money.
Well, sound like boomer size.
No, I'm just saying it's funny to me. Like, I never cared. I'm sorry, this is going to sound. I probably should be more invested, but if it's not a major, I don't care who's playing the Hartford Open.
Well, we're not watching the LIV events either, so it's not like the audience.
Can you watch them?
I don't know.
Are they on a channel that's on my TV?
They were. There was one that was taking place that was like not too far from my house, and I was like, no shot. I'm not going to do this. If it had been a PGA Tour event, maybe do I take my kid? I don't know. Fun. Walk around the golf course a little, get a hot dog, and leave or whatever. I'm not going to a LIV event though. I mean, now they're kind of owned by the same thing, so it doesn't matter.
Right, I thought they merged. What's happening there?
Not yet. They've agreed to the idea of some kind of merger, but they have not come anywhere close to having finalized details.
So concepts of a plan.
Have you guys seen the big golf story of this week, though?
Probably not.
That Rory McIlroy didn't recognize or know who Tom Holland was on the driving range. That thing has gone super viral. Have you guys not seen this?
No. Rory, my spirit animal. Thank you, sir.
Rory and Tom Holland, for some reason, it's a pro-am. Tom Holland is a beautiful swing, by the way. Tom Holland, the star of Spider-Man, is standing next to Rory. He goes, Rory, Tom Holland, nice to meet you. And Rory has no idea who he is, never seen him in his life. And thinks he's just a normal fan or a business guy. It's a wonderful moment for Maggie.
Maybe Rory's like me. Maybe he doesn't watch comic book movies.
No, so apparently he doesn't.
You're anti-Tom Holland specifically?
No, I don't know.
She doesn't know anything about him.
But he's Zendaya's boyfriend. That doesn't, no?
I mean, I watched her in Euphoria, but I haven't seen any of her other movies because I didn't see Dune.
You haven't seen Greatest Showman?
You didn't see the tennis movie?
That's where you go.
Tennis fan?
Bogus is a parent like me.
Great.
Greatest Showman.
It is a great movie.
Greatest Showman. That's a big deal to somebody who has kids.
Yeah, and I just figured Maggie would have seen that.
That is
true.
true.
I think you only see that if you have kids, baby. We might not have seen that if we didn't have kids.
I mean, I have a kid. He's just too young for that.
Yeah.
He's not for singing and dancing. It'll keep his attention.
Greatest Showman's a good one.
Yeah.
It's also funny to me because I feel like Tom Holland could play Rory McIlroy in a movie.
Maybe that's why he's there.
That's a good point.
That's a great, great point.
Yeah, they're kind of the same size.
Yeah,
you have an accent-ish, kind of?
No, I don't want to say, I guess, Rory's Irish, right? So I don't want to say the same accent because, of course, Tom's British. But still, like, he could probably do the accent. Like, if Rory's doing a biopic, Tom Holland's very high on that list.
Can you imagine how sad the Rory McIlroy biopic is? I mean, happy, too. He's had a lot of success, but, man, there's been some big meltdowns.
Yeah, it could be R-rated with the affair that is
Divorce.
well documented.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. We said sad. That's what I thought first.
I'm going to defend
Left
Maggie
Caroline
here.
Wozniacki right before the wedding.
Yep.
I think Tom Holland barely exists outside of Spider-Man. I can totally understand. Like, that's his jam. I mean, can anyone name the other movies?
Uncharted.
Yeah, that's one with
Uncharted,
Mark Wahlberg.
but with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
But everyone says, oh, wasn't he in a movie with Mark Wahlberg? No one remembers Uncharted.
That's about it.
There's
nothing
I'm
else.
with that. Maggie, you're good on this one.
I left this conversation 4 minutes ago. I don't have any idea what you guys are talking about. I've never even heard of Greatest Showman.
That's
What?
bad.
You've never heard of
That's
it?
impossible.
Ryan just pointed at me. That's bad.
impossible. Really?
Maybe I have. Is Hugh Jackman in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I have not seen it.
I could actually in the break sing like half the songs.
See, I can probably dance.
Let's go, guys.
Choreography.
When we come back, Bogish and Perloff sing the.
You be Zendaya, I'll be Zac Efron.
Yeah. Wait, I get to be
fight
Zac
over that.
Efron.
Fine.
With my one pack.
Don't move. When we come back, we all get entertained by the musical stylings of Andrew Bogish and Andrew Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Poll question up on X right now. Was yesterday the greatest day in the history of baseball? Shohei Ohtani, 3 home runs, 10 RBI, 2 stolen bases, clinched Major League Baseball's first ever 50-50 season, and also punched the Dodgers ticket to the postseason. That doesn't really matter, but for Shohei, it matters. 75% say yes. Early returns are saying this is the greatest day in baseball history. That's a lot. Leland is on the line from California, wants to talk about a different team, the 49ers. Leland, are you in panic mode right now, dude?
A little bit, Maggie. A little bit panic mode because, while I was listening to your broadcast this morning, I was thinking there are 6 starters from last year's team that aren't playing Sunday. 6 starters. On defense, there's Travis Ward. He's not going to play. Talanoa Hufanga, he probably won't play. And Dre Greenlaw. And then on the offensive side, we all know about Christian McCaffrey. But now, as the news said, it's George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. I have doubts that they're going to get it done. I'm not panicking, but I've got Derek Carr and Clint Kubiak to root for, after their game against the Cowboys. So there's 49ers coaching staff around the league that are doing something else. But right here in San Francisco, I don't know.
Leland, but here's the thing, right? It's like the old joke about, outrunning a bear. Do you have to be faster than the bear, or do you have to be faster than the person who you're with, who's also getting chased by the bear? You're playing the Rams this week. They're just as hurt as you.
Yeah, they're hurt. But, see, last week, the 49ers were heavily favored to beat the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold. What they did, they went into their house and lost.
Yeah. No, I know. Now you got Deebo. No Deebo. I get it, Leland. I understand a little bit of a panic mode, but the Rams, you're still a touchdown favorite over this team. Like, the Rams are the real MASH unit here. I'm not trying to downplay the 49ers. The injuries are starting to stack up. If I were a fan of the team, I'd be alarmed as well, but you should be able to get by this Rams team.
Yeah, I just saw Schefter tweeted late last night the list of players who are not going to be there, both teams. So I guess the Rams line, it was supposed to get healthier, but now it's not sure that those guys are coming back too. I don't know who the Rams throw the ball to. If there's no Puka and then there's no Kupp, this is such an opportunity for the Niners to get healthy. Also, is Bosa in and out of practice? I don't even know what. It feels like every single player on the Niners has some sort of injury. This is weird. This could be a weird game. Maybe McVay outcoaches Shanahan here. He's had his number in the past. Maybe something strange happens here.
So Bosa was limited on Thursday, but Hufanga was a full participant. I think he's going to play. I just don't know how many snaps.
Yeah, I believe that they're saying he's going to play. But, I mean, that guy hasn't played in a year. So what difference is – we don't know what he's going to be either.
Yeah, the update really is we already know McCaffrey's on IR, but Deebo hurt, George Kittle hurt, Charvarius Ward hurt. So that's the latest. And the Rams, it's crazy. Let's go to Josh. Is our pal in Philadelphia. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. How are you, Ms. Gray?
We're good.
Hi, Mr. Perloff.
Yes.
My question was more for you. They were recapping recently, I think it was like the 10-year anniversary of the Matt Harvey interview on St. Patrick.
Yeah.
I was just wondering what you think of that because you were there and how both of you would handle if you have an interviewer that just doesn't seem to be doing what you want them to do.
Well, I think Maggie can weigh on this, too, because she's a Mets fan, and this was a big deal. I think it was funny enough, Josh, the 11-year anniversry. For some reason.
11 years ago?
But
I remember it so clearly.
Yeah, it feels like it was yesterday, and DP, me, and the guys we laughed for about 8 straight years. It was there was no hard feelings about the whole thing at all. Like, the second it happened, Dan was kind of smiling. He's like, that is the worst interview I've ever had in my entire life. But not in a mean way. Does that make sense, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Matt Harvey because the Danettes were, at least the other day, they were really clowning on him, and I feel bad if he hears that. I just wonder how he feels.
Oh, he came back on the next day, and I think Matt Harvey is able to laugh at it with people now. I'm not sure, but I see what you're saying, Josh, but I think Matt Harvey's okay.
Well, Matt Harvey's now working commercial real estate in New York City, so he's pretty far away from all of this. But if for people who maybe don't remember, who weren't tuned in that day 11 years ago. Wow, 11 years ago. So Matt Harvey comes on your former show, DP show, and Dan starts asking him questions, and he keeps bringing everything back to Qualcomm.
Yeah, it's the sponsor. He was on representing Qualcomm, and Dan's like, how's your shoulder doing? Because he was injured. He's like, Dan, I'm really here just to honor. He said one line, I'm here to honor Qualcomm. And the funny thing,
Dan could have been like, so what do you think of this weather we're having? He's like, well, it's really about Qualcomm. Like, it was insane, like how he just kept going back. It was comedic.
Right. He didn't know. He thought he was there for the sponsor. It had to be only about the sponsor. The funny thing, too, is we've all vaguely heard of Qualcomm. There's a stadium, but nobody knows where Qualcomm actually is. That added to, like, he's like, if he was here to honor Pop-Tarts, that would have made a lot more sense. He's honoring Qualcomm? Qualcomm is some sort of computer company? Do you know what they do?
I have no idea. I really only know them because of the Matt Harvey interview.
Yeah, they had the stadium in San Diego was Qualcomm.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yesterday, Shohei Ohtani, was that the greatest day in the history of baseball?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
We all are watching this guy. Oh my gosh! Shohei Ohtani! The greatest day in baseball history!
Joe Davis on Sportsnet LA. It was a heck of a day for Shohei Ohtani. I don't know if I can say it's the greatest day in baseball history. The sport's been around for 100 years. Welcome to the show, by the way, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It was an exclamation point, and Shohei clearly showing the flair for the dramatic when he's got on the precipice of history, Perloff. It was a grand slam that he hit to get to the 40-40 club for his 40th home run. Now for 50-50 and 51-51, a club of which he is the only member. It's the first time anyone's ever done this in the history of baseball. It was 3 home runs. He goes 6 for 6 on the day, 10 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. It was an unreal performance, and it makes you stop in your tracks. And yeah, maybe stolen bases are a little easier now because the pickoff rules are different. The bases are bigger, the whole thing. But the fact that Shohei Ohtani is rehabbing a serious elbow injury and just goes out and does something we've never seen before in the history of this sport that has more history, quite frankly, than any other sport in this country, is certainly in the running for greatest day of all time.
Well, all right, you have to explain this to me like I'm a child.
Okay.
Is it great because he hit 50-50? Is it great because of what he did as a performance? Is it a great because of the combo? So if he wasn't 50-50, was he, say, 47-46? This happened 2 weeks ago. Is it not the greatest day? I'm having trouble figuring out these greatest day ever people because the polls say it is. I don't totally get it.
I think it's the combination, right? It's like, I think it means something when you are approaching these records and then you do it in such an incredible way. Now, is anyone going to remember that the Marlins stink this year and they end up winning the game, 20-4 or what? I don't even know what the final score was of that game.
Yeah, 20-4.
It was an absolute throttling. But I think when you break records with an exclamation point and all the things that happen on this day, the fact that he entered that game and he was still, he was 2 shy, not 1 shy. And he just basically just chased down history, went out and grabbed it. I think that makes a difference.
Yeah. So as a standalone game, it's also amazing, but it's not so amazing. So it's really the context of the game.
Have you ever been sorry, go ahead.
To me, a 50-50, like this is a big record, but it's not, I'm not going to remember this record because the stolen bases are so easy right now.
See, I think we will remember it. I just am wondering if Shohei ends up topping it. Does next year he do 55-55? Now, it might be harder because if he is pitching, he doesn't take BP on days where he pitches. It takes more out of you.
You got to do 60-60. 55-55 is the same thing. You know how baseball works, only in numbers that end in 0. So he's got to do 60-60, which he could do. I mean, stolen bases is going to be easy.
I think it's going to be hard if he's pitching. It just, first of all, his possible injury, because the possibility for injuries goes up, and 2, I think it does just take a lot out of him. But meanwhile, here we are enjoying this incredible day, and I don't know. I know what you guys are saying about how the rules changed, and so maybe stolen bases don't mean as much. But rules have been changing in baseball throughout our whole lives. And so I almost don't want to knock him just because he's still doing something amazing. The combination of both is still amazing. So I don't want to knock him just because he's playing by the rules that exist in this day.
But we always adjust our perspective based on the rules. And like, for example, like Cy Young had 40 wins in a season. We know that's not going to happen anymore. So we don't take that number so seriously.
I know, but I think people still, if we did a poll, who's the greatest baseball player of all time, I bet there's still people who would vote for Babe Ruth, even though he never played against any black people, even though Babe Ruth played in an era where, talk about plumbers and firemen. I mean, it is not even close to what it is now. And I still think you would get people who say he's the greatest of all time. So,
yeah, but one thing about Babe Ruth, he had 60 homers, and the next guy was at 24, or something crazy like that. I just think, and I don't know about the plumbers and firemen. I do know you're right. The sport was segregated, but that was the sport back then. The best athletes all wanted to play baseball. That was it. So I don't know. I'm not sure that now all the great athletes go into other sports. That's one of the issues with baseball, I think, in America.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe you're just talking about American
But
players,
anyway, regardless, though, I think that we are smart enough as fans to know the difference when rule changes and things happen. Now the sport is much more focused on, for example, strikeouts and walks and all that. We know, don't you think? I think we're savvy enough to understand that this 50 stolen bases is not what it used to be.
Okay, but then nothing's meaningful then. Because if you're going to say every time someone hits a lot of home runs, you could say either they're on something or the ball's juiced or the ballparks are smaller, then we're never going to then nothing's ever impressive. And I've said I think Shohei needs to win a World Series. All the individual stuff is great, but the reason why he needs to come back and pitch in the future is so he can help the Dodgers win a World Series. So maybe I'm doing a little of that too. But if you're going to just poke holes in every single number, then no number is going to be meaningful. Then why do anything? Why say anything? I don't like that part of it either. Just because guys there was a steroid era in the past, or just because they changed the rules because the sport, quite frankly, needed a bit of a tweak, I don't want to say all of a sudden now this is meaningless.
Well, it's not meaningless, I think, is too far extreme. I mean, for example, in football, we all view, except for this year and last year, we all view passing stats differently. Everyone knows what Dan Marino did in 1988 is more impressive than what somebody did in 2018.
Sure.
So just and basketball, is every sport, we understand different eras and different numbers.
So what numbers are sacred now then? What numbers actually impress you now in baseball?
Yeah, I think you have to compare him to others. It's 50 homers. If other guys are hitting 50 homers, then it's not as impressive. It is, of course, Shohei. I'm a huge Shohei fan. I think he's the most impressive. I say don't pitch him because he's the best hitter we've seen in our lifetime, except for Barry Bonds, which was pure cheating. He's incredible. I would never pitch him. I'm you have the best player in baseball without pitching. He wins the MVP. He's going to win 10 MVP. Not 10. He's going to win a ton of MVPs just as a hitter. I think it's nuts to risk his health. In fact, I don't even like these stolen bases. Why are you having this gigantic man sliding into second again and again? I feel like that's a waste too. I would just have him. I'm a sabermetric guy. I just have him sit back there and hit home runs.
I mean, but again, I ask you, yes, I'm impressed with Shohei too. I think I'm more impressed. And if you don't think stolen bases matter, if you don't think home runs matter as much or whatever, then because Judge is doing it or Matt Olson does it or Jose Bautista did it back-to-back years, whatever your logic is, then what actually do you like for numbers? What means something? Because I'll be honest, I don't think we're treating no-hitters like we used to either.
Numbers in baseball have lost all their meaning.
So there's no number now I can give you that's meaningful.
WAR and OPS.
Yeah, no. Big WAR numbers, I definitely noticed. That's how I saw this recent thing. MVP is all about WAR now. It's the only stat.
Then give the NL MVP to Francisco Lindor.
Well, I think Ohtani has more WAR now than Lindor. He was a .7 WAR from that one game yesterday. So
yeah,
for a DH to not be playing the field or pitching, to have the most WAR in
that's
baseball
only
reference.
Just because Lindor got hurt. But that was kind of the big
that was his case. Yeah, that was Lindor's case.
That was Lindor's case. Is that
he
the
had
WAR was higher.
He had the higher WAR. Yeah. I mean, I think the difference, Maggie, is I think everything has context. So yes, throughout the history of the sport, rules have changed, times have changed, and therefore we have to take numbers in certain context. But I think when we look at this particular case with Ohtani, where baseball decided that we want more stolen bases, we're literally putting this rule in so that the better athletes can have more stolen bases.
They just wanted more action.
They wanted more stolen bases too.
Yeah, exactly. But they moved the shift because they wanted more.
Right.
They banned the shift because they wanted more action. The sport was getting way too boring.
For sure, but And that's 100% right. But at the same time, this particular thing, when it came to pickoffs and things like that, were a big part because they wanted people running the bases.
Sure.
They wanted to make it more enticing to do it, easier to do it.
Right.
You get 50 bases 2 years after the rules just changed. The context is obvious. You see, okay, well, he couldn't have done this 2-3 years ago. He wouldn't have even tried because it wouldn't have been advantageous to him. So, yeah, 50-50 is cool. I think it shows how great an athlete he is. Do I look at this and say, oh, this is like the greatest thing ever? Like, I think it's neat. That's
what
how
about
I look
the
at
50
it.
homers?
I think 50 homers are awesome. I don't
There are
necessarily
people
agree
who
with
will poke holes in that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have an issue with the 50 homers. Like, that's pretty cool. That's crazy to me. Like, to do the 50 bases, regardless of how easy it is, and then to still hit 50 home runs, like nobody else is doing that, obviously. But like I told you, to me, Barry Bonds going 40-40 and 93 is more impressive than this. Because you're doing it back then, no steroids, way harder to steal bases. You're playing the field every day. You're not a DH. Like, that is, to me, harder than what Shohei did, even though what Shohei did is incredible. But I do think you can take the context with the rule change happening so quickly and it being directly related to making stolen bases easier.
Okay,
It's like lowering the rim in basketball. We're going to, of course, say, well, if you lower the rim in basketball, if the guy scores 50 points next year, we're going to have a reason as to why we're going to look at that with an eyebrow raised.
Right. I guess I just would say that I can do this argument anyway. I could look back at 1993 and I could look at the velocity of your average bullpen guy and say it's not even close to what they're doing today. So I can say, well, actually, Bonds, what he was doing was easier than what Shohei's doing because not everybody's throwing 100 like they are. I'm just saying that this argument can happen no matter what we're talking about. If you want to poke holes in somebody's resume or these records, and to the point where have we just done it to death where now nothing matters anymore?
Yeah. Well,
and again, the only thing that's going to matter is if he wins a World Series. And that's kind of like where I think society, like sports fans and society is kind of going too.
Well, I think baseball,
Did you win?
Baseball has been the biggest victim of this. I feel like baseball stats used to be everything, and it's their own fault. I think the steroid era just killed the fascination with stats. And also, too, I mean, every year they break a record for the most home runs in a season. They've gone crazy in home runs. I think.
Well, not Bonds's.
19. No, I mean like the whole league.
Oh.
They're hitting up. And that's a lot of strategy, too, like sit back and hit home runs. I think 2019, 2021, and 2020 are like the 3 of the 4 most. So, like, everybody hits home runs, Maggie. So I think you do have to be skeptical of the numbers. Not even just because of steroids, but just like that's the style. Nobody wants to do singles anymore.
855-212-4227. Josh is in Erie, Pennsylvania. Wants to talk about Shohei. Was it the greatest day in baseball history, Josh?
So, quick clarification: are you saying it's the best individuals day or best singular day in all of baseball?
I mean, Joe Davis made the call. I think he said the best. I think he meant the best individual day.
See, I go back to 2011 when the Rays and Cardinals flipped postseason and made the playoffs on a 2-strike. I think they were both 2-strike counts. Came back from 9.5 games back of the Red Sox, and I think it was the Braves at that point in 2011. That was the singular best day in baseball, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Tom Verducci wrote a book about that day.
Yeah, I think so. You're right.
This is like single performance. And Josh, thanks for the call and appreciate you checking in. I mean, I think it comes down to, it was Reggie Jackson's 3 home runs in Game 6 of the 77 World Series. I think that's probably the greatest individual day. It's the biggest stage. It was the 3 homers. To me, I guess. But I love what Shohei did yesterday. I think more highly of it than you guys do.
What are you talking about? Everyone thought it was amazing. Do you think it's the greatest day? And you think it's the second greatest day in baseball history?
Individual performance, I think it's up there. Yeah, I do. I think it's probably, if it's not the first, I think it's probably like a top 3 day. But to be honest, we have to wait a little bit because if, next year he does 60-60, or if next year there's 5 members of the 50-50 club, then yeah, it's going to make it look a little different.
Is it, by the way, it's definitely better than all the 4 home run games? Because those.
Besides from
but why?
Sean Green, because he had 6 hits,
right,
2 steals, 10 RBIs.
Yeah, but the thing is, the steals,
A steal is important in baseball. Granted, they won 20.
Yeah, I know, but that's the whole debate about the rule change. I mean, they can't do endless pickoff moves. So
My thing
of
with
course
the
he's
steals
stealing.
is, I just looked up a random year, 1985. 7 players with over 50 steals.
Yeah, that was when people stole bases.
I'm just saying, the last 2 years, you said that stealing is supposed to be promoted. There's only been 5 players over 50. So there was more players in 1985 with more than 50 steals compared to the last 2 years combined.
That's because the stadiums were 900 feet deep, Ryan.
See,
you had to steal
you
bases.
poke holes in everything.
Well, I mean, yes, of course. And you guys are, I mean, you can't argue that home runs aren't crazy these days. They're way up.
Oh, no, the home runs are fine. I'm just saying the steals. The Ohtani steals are important. It's not, there's the amount of times where you see a runner go from first to second, get into scoring position, and they score on a bloop single.
Right.
It's insane.
I need you to do me a favor. I need you to look at the total number of steals in 2021, 2022, 2023, and this year.
Well, it's going to get tilted just by Acuna alone at over 70 stolen bases last year.
Right. But, I'm just curious if the rule changes had an impact.
And I do think there's a context as well with, like, the game was just different at that time. Like, teams, that was part of a strategy to steal bases, whether it was easy or hard. Like, it's almost
you couldn't hit home runs.
Yeah, it's almost like saying, like, well, like, look at the amount of 1,000-yard rushers in '85, and look at now, it's almost the same. It's like, well, yeah, teams were running 60 times a game because that's what they thought was most advantageous.
Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4227. Stuart's our pal in North Carolina. Stuart, what do you think about Ohtani?
Well, to take away from what this guy has done is just ridiculous. I mean, I saw a stat this morning that he's the only guy to do those 5 stats at any point in his career. The 2 steals, the 3 homers, the 5 extra base hits, the 6 hits, and the 10 ribbies. Nobody did that 1 per game, at any point in their life, and he did it all in the same game. The thing I had told your producer was, and if baseball is a big numbers game, but nobody's talked about them lowering the mound after Bob Gibson's 1968 season. Nobody takes away from the magnificence of what Bob Gibson was. He was unbelievable. And rule changes happen in the game. I mean, it's just life. There used to never be a 3-point shot in the NBA. I mean, things just transition over time.
Yeah,
and
but we
take away from
Stuart, we recognize those changes, right? Like in football in 2004, they changed the pass interference rules and numbers exploded. Everybody knows that, right? Like you take that context into the discussion.
Yeah, but nobody says Bob Gibson isn't as good as a pitcher as they have today because he pitched on a higher mound.
I think you're right. Baseball has consistently been changing. All sports do, but been consistently changing. Listen, we were putting Caitlin Clark up there with Pete Maravich, even though Pete Maravich, broke the all-time NCAA record, set it with 1 less year and without a 3-point line.
Right,
but it was like, is Caitlin the best? It's like, well, we didn't talk a lot of context in that one.
But we always put context around Wilt Chamberlain.
That's true.
Because we're like, oh, he scored 50 points a game, but he was doing it against scrubs.
Right.
So, I mean, I think we were picking and choosing here. By the way, can you imagine Bob Gibson on that high mound trying to get a hit off that dude? Highlights of him are like, whoa.
I mean, what we're watching is one of the greatest players that there is, and everybody should enjoy it because I'm not even a Dodger fan, but it's just ridiculous what he's doing.
Yeah, Stuart, and that's why it's amazing to watch, but this is why I want to see him get back to pitching, and he has said he's going to get back. So I don't have to worry about it. I just have to worry about fans like Perloff who are saying don't do it by all metrics, like but at any cost. Don't let him take them out anymore.
I actually, and even more so now because he's so ridiculous. He's so singular. He's just a hitter. I mean, this is the greatest player in the game. Don't risk it.
Okay, see you guys on the phones. We will get back to the calls on Ohtani. You are also welcome to go and vote on our poll on X about was this the greatest singular accomplishment in the history of Major League Baseball. So go there and vote at Maggie and Pearl.
All right, football season is here, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action while watching football. Season-long fantasy takes so much time, but Prize Picks, you can pick a new lineup every day. And last night, I picked a guy named Ramondre Stevenson, thought the Patriots were going to run all day. He got his pinky caught in a guy's helmet. He was and he had this great 40-yard run. I was so psyched. They took it away because of the face mask. But then again, I'm going to be back at it tonight. You know that, Maggie.
Well, here's a funny one. Right now, Shohei Ohtani, a 10.5 hitter fantasy score for tonight. What's the encore? I mean, how do you follow up a 6-for-6, 3 home run, 10 RBI day? Do you go back out there and just do it all over again? This is why Perloff and I play Prize Picks every single day. Not only that, Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy app with injury insurance. If one of your players goes down in the first half, Prize Picks doesn't count it as a loss. It's just some of the many ways Prize Picks puts the members first.
By the way, all over Dylan Raiola tonight. I think it's a 214 yards. Let's go with the Nebraska quarterback. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code MNP to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's code MNP on Prize Picks to get $50 credit instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff Show. We are trying to put Shohei Ohtani's incredible day into historical perspective. I'm going to say it. I'm going to be the killjoy.
Yeah, be that guy. Go ahead.
Might be a little caught up in the moment here. Maybe calling it the greatest day in the history of baseball. Maybe a little caught up in the moment.
See, I like getting caught up in the moment because if you don't get caught up in the moment, it's like nothing matters, you know?
But if you get caught up in the moment,
in every part of this.
But if you don't pull back and think historically, then nothing matters as well because tomorrow Mookie Betts is going to have 9 stolen bases or something, and that'll be the greatest day. Like you can only have one greatest. We tend to go to the hyperbole a little too soon. We tend to go to the greatest. This is a great. I kept thinking of Susan Waldman last night. This is the greatest. What did she say when Roger Clemens returned?
Well, goodness gracious! I mean, that's when in
did she say
George Steinbrenner's box that?
Yeah, I thought she
said
like it was one of the greatest moments in Yankee history or something. Anyway, we tend to make everything the best, and this is the best I've ever seen. I think we do that too much, which I think takes the meaning away from it. And there's a caller here. I don't even think this is going to be a top 3 Dodgers moment.
Well, Fred is in South Carolina. Wants to weigh in on Ohtani's big day. Good morning, Fred.
Hey, how are you guys today?
We're good.
Yeah, so that's exactly my point. What Perloff is saying there, I think it's a lot of recency bias. And again, a great day, fantastic day. But offensive explosions happen like that all the time. There are other guys that haven't had those numbers, but very good. As far as best day in Dodgers history, I mean, Kirk Gibson still has to be the king of that. Like, he won a World Series. And then, like, what about Don Larson with a perfect game in the World Series, which then goes to Maggie's point of, I think it needs to be World Series related or at least something getting you there. This is just a day in September.
Yeah, they beat the Marlins 20-4.
But the opponent to me almost
and his last
doesn't
home run
matter.
was against a position player.
Right. But that wasn't the 50. The 50 was the second home run of the day. And actually,
Whoa. I did not know this. Did you say he hit a home run off a position player?
440 feet off of a position player.
Oh, man,
but
I didn't know that.
That wasn't the one to break the record.
Oh, that's weak sauce.
Well, come on. He can't help it. What is he supposed to do? Lay down a bunt just because the guy's a position player? That makes no sense.
He just fell below Mark Whitten's 4 home run game in my list of great days.
You know what? But, Fred, here's the thing, right? It's like, I said it too. It's like in the World Series, does this mean more? Reggie Jackson's 3 home runs, is that actually greater? But, yeah, if you want to go a moment with Kirk Gibson or you want to go a moment – yeah, there's definitely bigger moments. Hank Aaron is a bigger moment. I mean, Jackie Robinson suiting up is a bigger moment. Like, we could definitely take this into bigger account. But the fact is that Ohtani did do something that no one has done. So it doesn't matter if the Marlins were the opponent. It's about Ohtani.
And I think that goes to similarly like last year, Ronald Acuna Jr. did something that no one had ever done.
Right.
So that we're just doing that every year where now it's like the next greatest time in baseball history. The last thing that I'll say is just as far as good as Ohtani is, right now, he is not the best hitter in baseball. That's still center field in Yankee Stadium.
Aaron Judge, yeah. Fred, thank you for the call. Gave us some things to chew on there.
I mean, I think it's not a certainty that Aaron Judge is better. I see what he's saying. I'm going to listen.
Yeah, I mean, Judge has the American League record, 62. Ohtani hasn't done that, but
Judge is hitting like 320 too.
Yeah,
I mean,
Judge
he could win the Triple Crown.
And they both have good teams, the protection, all the stuff you want to talk about.
But I mean, like,
God, I hope they meet in the World Series.
I really do think, and I'm being serious. I know we're kidding around a little bit. Like, the postseason just means way more. So when you're talking about greatest day, there's nothing you can do in the regular season that's going to match. To do it in the postseason is crazy.
But ironically, baseball is the one sport where I feel like the postseason, when we remember guys and their numbers and what they did, like, it's the one sport where the winning is actually secondary to the regular season in numbers. When you put guys like their Hall of Fame, candidacies and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the moments, I mean, I mean, like Sandy Koufax. If you're talking greatest Dodgers moments, it's Koufax. It's
Don Larson.
Obviously,
and Kirk Gibson.
It's Kirk Gibson, yeah.
Right, but like so to me,
hey, folks.
Sorry, Kirk Gibson is not the comparison here. Kirk Gibson is a different conversation. It's a singular moment.
Right.
Kirk Gibson hobbling a home plate out of nowhere, hitting a home run. That's not what I'm talking about when we're trying to diagnose what Ohtani did. And let's just be careful not to dismiss wherever you want to put it on your list or not on a list. Don't go too far in dismissing what he did yesterday, because that caller said this happens all the time. Yesterday does not happen all the time.
Yeah.
That is a factually incorrect statement. What he did yesterday technically is unforeseen in the combination of all the different things he did. But if you want to just go by extra base hits or whatever, like there have been a handful of other games like this, but it does not happen all the time.
Yeah,
That's not true.
And I said Don Larson of the Yankees, obviously, not Dodger moment against the Dodgers. But
Yogi jumped into his arms, right?
yeah, of course.
Well,
yeah, it doesn't happen all the time.
Right.
And Ohtani, here's the thing where I don't mind the hyperbole around Ohtani, because it's not a one-off guy. It's not Chris Davis. It's not I'm going to start disrespecting people. It's not Jose Bautista.
Right. It's not Brady Anderson.
Exactly. Like Ohtani is got the bona fides. Like, he is in the conversation of greatest baseball player. We're watching history. I think it's okay to celebrate all of his achievements because we know that they're going to keep, as long as he's healthy, they're going to keep stacking on top of each other. This isn't some flash in the pan.
Well, let me ask, does he have to win in the postseason?
I think so. I mean, I've said that. I think he does need to win in the postseason.
But like for what? Like this postseason to make yesterday matter more? What is that?
Well, you know how we rip players who have great regular seasons. More in other sports, Maggie, you're right about that. But we rip guys who have great regular seasons and then show up small in the postseason. Like Clayton Kershaw, for example, if you want to go Dodgers. Like what greatest regular season pitchers of all time, I think, everybody thinks of him as slightly disappointing.
Yes, but Ohtani could hit 400 and in postseason the Dodgers don't win the World Series. And that's not
right.
his fault.
But he could easily come out and say he gets cold in the postseason. I think that's what I'm saying. Like, does he need to sort of fulfill his promise? Does he need to come up big in the fall?
I mean, eventually, but not this fall. If he doesn't have a good October, that doesn't immediately erase all of this stuff.
No, not erase. But I feel like he's such a great player. Like he's got to have some pressure on him this fall. I think people are. Of
course. Do we talk about Bonds never winning a World Series?
Well, I was going to say, I think the issue with Bonds is he was taught a lot about not winning because he was terrible in the postseason until they went into that World Series against the Angels, and he was just hitting home runs every game, and they lost a close, heartbreaking 7-game series. It wasn't his fault.
They probably should have won in 6.
Right, exactly. He carried the team. So I almost feel like, similar to what Bogus said, like, Ohtani just has to play well. Like, if the Dodgers could lose, and if he's just killing it still, I think you'd be like, well, we know that guy's a dog. Like, there's no question about whether or not he can deliver in the clutch. Baseball is too many variables for one player to just lead you to a World Series. There's too many players, too many things that have to happen to go right.
But do you think I think he's set up where we would be very critical if he did not have a good postseason.
For sure. I agree with you on that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Bogish has more headlines. By the way, you can keep the calls coming on Ohtani at 855-212-4227. You can also vote on our poll at Maggie and Pearl, single day in baseball history, single performance in baseball history. Bogues, what's up?
Headline sponsored by Prize Picks. Football season's here, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Download Prize Picks and use code M&P to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details. After winning in Cincinnati, then almost beating the Seahawks, the Patriots looked as inept as many expected before the season started last night at the Jets. A 24-3 primetime smothering in Jersey. QB Jacoby Brissett sacked 5 times, hit on almost every other drop back.
It really didn't come down to the plays. It was just like they just beat our ass, to be honest with you.
No lies detected.
You don't need to know the X's and O's of football to understand that.
You know what's crazy? The final score was, if you didn't watch the game, you're like, well, what was it, 24-3?
Yeah.
It should have been way bigger of a margin, but your kicker missed a field goal and got stalled a little bit in the red zone. Anyway.
I think the Patriots are a big bend don't break too, because the Seattle had 1,000,000 yards.
Right.
So they that's a new thing. Like you let up hundreds of yards, then you stop them in the red zone. That kind of happened. But Jacoby Brissett, dude, you're 6'7". Like you got to see that a guy who's 5'11" is running at you, and he was completely oblivious. It's like he didn't see the blitz once. Not once did he pick up a blitz.
The Patriots last night had 139 total yards.
Whoa.
You're right when you talk about like this game is only 24-3. Like that does not tell the story. 139 yards for an entire offense is insane.
What was time of possession?
Time of possession was 40 minutes for the Jets, just under 20 minutes for the Patriots.
Yeah, it felt like the Jets took too long to score, so they didn't have many chances to then score again.
I don't know how many times Rodgers, they got to figure out the whole clock thing. because like it was an issue in Tennessee, and then yesterday they got a couple close calls on delay of games where Rodgers had to call timeout in the second half. Thank goodness the game was so out of reach; it didn't matter, and then they still took some delay of games. So he's milking the clock down. Like that's clearly their strategy, and that's what he loves to do. And that probably led to not as many points. Also, you had a Greg Zuerlein missed field goal. That's
it's funny. I was listening to a betting podcast, and they said Rodgers' use of the time go under on the Jets because he uses the whole play clock. And I forgot about that. He's like a master of manipulating everyone at the line.
Speaking of that Zuerlein field goal, it didn't end up mattering. But why did the Jets call their last time out when they didn't have to with like plus 20 seconds left in a half?
That whole drive, they let like another 6 or 7 seconds come off the clock before they eventually called timeout. I'm like, are you going for a touchdown here or are you not? I did not understand it.
Yeah,
disorganized.
Yeah.
Every other team would have saved their last timeout, and they had that, and then they had that last play where even Michaels was like, if they get tackled inbounds, they're not getting a field goal, the field goal unit out there for this.
I actually laughed.
Gotta love Nathaniel Hackett.
Kirk Herbstreit goes, yeah, that hold looked pretty good. No idea what happened there. That was just like the worst kick I've ever seen.
It was awful. I don't know what. It was like going. It was like a helicopter going like sideways. Yeah, I was like, what happened? And Zuerlein's usually really good.
And even with the timeout, Herbie at one point started to say, and with the one timeout left, and he saw the board, and he just stopped talking because he assumed, rightfully so, they should have had still one to go. And then he saw 0, and he's just like, okay, never mind.
Yeah, this is 2 weeks in a row with the Jets with the timeouts and the play clock issues. I don't know what's going on. They got to figure that out. They're going to be closer games where this is going to matter.
The NFL was not doing Amazon any favors by putting the Patriots on Thursday night. That's not fair. Like, you're not going to get a good game.
And is the Giants-Cowboys next Thursday?
How about Al Michaels being real cagey on whether or not he's staying in New York for the week? Did you guys pick up on that?
Oh, no, I missed that.
Al, are you going to do like what the Chargers are doing and just stay on the East Coast for the week? He's like, I don't know yet. Actually, I do. And that was it.
His Jets running at Teterboro. He's out of there. He's home in his bed right now.
Yeah, he loves going to that golf club out there. Apparently, he's not even good at golf, but he goes every day. Like, there's no way he's staying. But it is kind of Thursday Night Football seems jinxed right now, right? Like, it's always Herbie and Al trying to make up some content at the second half.
Herbie's dog.
How many penalties were last night, too? I felt like they could not run a play either side without penalties. Anyway.
Back to the Patriots. They let Drake May lead their last possession. Things were so bad. He went 4 for 8, 22 yards, was sacked twice in his debut. Head coach Gerard Mayo did not say post-game that Brissett is still their starter. So Jacoby asked about that.
I'm not going to overreact to something that I didn't hear. So, yeah.
Yeah, good times. Aaron Rodgers, meanwhile, 281 yards, 2 scores in his first win in his new home. Breece Hall also ran for his scores. The Jets snapped an 8-game home losing streak to New England and a 6-game skid on Thursday night. Vikings wideout Justin Jefferson says he'll play, quote, for sure Sunday against Houston despite his bruised quad. And T. Higgins was back at Bengals practice yesterday, but still unclear if his hamstring will let him play Monday night against the Commanders. Arch Manning officially starting for Texas tomorrow night against Louisiana Monroe, but head coach Steve Sarkisian basically said yesterday Quinn Ewers starts once his oblique injury is gone. And last night might have been Diana Taurasi's final game in Phoenix, just in case she addressed the crowd after an 89-70 loss to Seattle.
And if it is the last time, if it is the last time, no.
That's fans and teammates chanting one more year at the 42-year-old. The Mercury are in the playoffs, but would have to force a third game with Minnesota to get another home game. Taurasi says she'll decide her playing future over the offseason. Guys, back to you.
I mean, she steps right into a broadcasting career too, right? Whenever she's done.
Oh, I would imagine.
Her and Sue Bird already have their show that they do during the NCAA tournament. Why not, right?
This is a little weird, though. Like, even reading about it this morning, I guess the Mercury, because she was non-committal, which is fine, but like even did like a just in case, or if this is the last one, like a whole push. They gave out T-shirts, like just in case this was going to be the last game. They didn't want to do nothing, but it's weird that they did something about something that might not happen still.
Well, this is why you got to do the tour. And I know some athletes aren't comfortable with it, but the retirement goodbye tour, I think, is actually the right thing to do for fans of yours, for the team. And listen, you can always come back or whatever, but do the goodbye tour so everyone can properly send you off.
You don't want to come back, though, after a goodbye tour.
Yeah.
That's not good.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes things happen. We thought Mariano Rivera was going to retire, and then I tore his meniscus or whatever, shagging balls in Kansas City. And sometimes you got to come back. It's not always a fairy tale, but, you know.
We got an issue here, by the way. What channel is this? Texas-Louisiana Monroe game? Is that on TV? I assume it is.
I mean, it's on TV. Whether you can see it or not is the question.
Yeah, I was because the Louisiana Monroe does not get a lot of. Is this?
Do you know what the spread is on this
Sunday?
game?
I tell you that. Or beating Saturday.
Do you know what the spread is on this game? I just looked it up.
Oh, okay. So it's I think it's SEC Network.
Okay.
The spread is 44. And the over-under is only 52. So they really think that Louisiana Monroe is not going to score.
Yeah, and ESPN Plus, which I think a lot of people are watching now. So a little arch action. I don't know. If he throws 8 touchdowns, is it we could say that's awesome, or is it going to be like, Louisiana Monroe.
44-point spread.
Yes, I don't know.
This is not the one. This is not the game to be like, oh, this is Arch. But I love how they're so confident that Quinn Ewers is going to be the starter again. How long until he just gets hurt again? Like, that's the thing. Even if he does get the job back, which is fine, and that's okay. But this is a guy who has an injury history, and we've already seen it.
I don't know, minor oblique injury. Anyway,
game.
Do you have money on something here? You're really pushing for this quarterback change.
I'm a secret Manning. No, I don't.
The dude gets hurt all the time.
No,
Maggie Gray Manning.
Just put him out of his misery.
Doesn't realize.
I'm just saying, I've seen a lot of Quinn Ewers, and I'll be excited to watch him in the NFL, but I've kind of seen what he can do at Texas. It's Arch's time.
Like your husband's the 4th Manning brother. We don't know.
I mean, Texas is the #1 team in the country because of Quinn Ewers. Don't you want to see if they can win the title with him?
Sure.
Maybe
I'd
they can
rather
win
watch them try to win the title with Arch.
That'll be next year.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I totally agree. But DJ Lagway, the Florida quarterback, threw for like 500 yards against Stanford, had like an all-time record day, and then could not hit the side of the barn when he played a real team. So I worry that Arch is going to have this crazy day and then not be that good. But Texas, if Arch has to go against Georgia, that's different.
Well, we're not there yet. 855-212-4227. Bogusch, thank you so much. Coming up, we will talk about Week 3 NFL. We got Week 4 college football. We have another interesting story of something going on this weekend that Perloff may be predicting is going to be a lot bigger deal than we may think. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We did the one-hit wonder bracket that ran congruently to the NCAA tournament bracket, Perloff. That was not this past season, 2 years ago. I thought this was the greatest find of that one-hit wonder bracket. Funky Town. I don't think I'd listened to that song in 15 years.
There's a great Mel Brooks movie where they're dancing a Funky Town in ancient Egypt. Yeah, that's what I always remember about that song.
Welcome back, by the way. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Lots to get to. Your thoughts on Shohei Ohtani making history yesterday as part of the 50-50 club. We've got lots of football for you. But we pause for one moment, Pearl, because you have a prediction, I think, that you wanted to make.
Is this the WNBA-related prediction?
It is. Why don't you tell people what's on your mind?
Okay. So, in my opinion, NFL is the most popular thing in sports right now. College football is second, but I honestly feel like the biggest star is Caitlin Clark. I think she's going to get surprising ratings in the playoffs, even though she's going against the NFL. Does anyone have the schedule for the FIVA?
Okay, let's get the WNBA playoffs start on Sunday, and I don't exactly have the schedule in front of me. Maybe EJ.
Here we go. It's so it's 3:00 on Sunday against the Sun. Now, I think she's going to do a decent rating. I'm assuming this is ABC.
Put a number on it.
2 million.
2 million for Caitlin Clark on an NFL Sunday?
Yep.
You got the Cowboys at 4:25 Eastern time against the Ravens, kind of a must-win game for both teams. I think that game is going to do a gigantic rating.
Well, of course. But I think most of the game will be over by 4:25. You could get in that window. Not everybody has Sunday ticket. Not everybody. The big broadcast games do much better. And I assume somebody has to find out what channel this game is on.
I think it's on ABC.
If it's on Amazon, then I will not do this bet. Like
no,
last night's game.
That's going to be different. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know what happened the rest of the game. I watched the first 20 minutes, she's on fire right now. She looks great. So I think she's going to do a big number. I think you cannot underestimate. I read this really great column by Dan Wetzel, our friend at Yahoo Sports, about being like, all said and done, a lot of experts underestimated the impact Caitlin Clark would have at the WNBA. His argument was, in a lot of sports, college stardom does not translate to the pros, and he says that it's translated and then some. And I totally agree. The ratings obviously are crazy up for WNBA.
Yeah, no, I think that her impact has been gigantic, huge. You can't overstate it. It was exactly the star that they needed at the right time, and it's just been like a rocket ship. I think this is going to be very tough for them. I think it's going to be tough for the WNBA. I think the ratings will be up compared to seasons past because that's the trend. But I think this is tough to go head-to-head with the NFL. And it's not going to be every day. They're going to play games on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and I get that. But I think it's going to be hard for them to break the 2 million mark on a full slate of games. It's early enough in the season where every team is technically still alive. You haven't totally given up on your season, even if you're a Panther fan or a Giant fan or whatever. And I still think the NFL is going to – I think it just takes up so much oxygen on Sunday. I think it's going to be more like – what we see with other counter programming like gymnastics and figure skating.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a little higher than that, but I don't know.
I feel really good about this one. I would do a show bet in a heartbeat on that 2 million number.
I don't know.
ESPN average, I just looked, 1.2 million per game for the regular season.
I know, but this is going up against the NFL. On a Tuesday or a Wednesday, I would give it to you. But I don't think on Sunday, I don't think anything else matters except for NFL when we're talking about sports on TV.
Yeah, but 2 million is just not a big number. I mean, I
don't know, for the World Series, when's the last time they topped 2 million?
Cowboys-Ravens like at 27 million or something,
Yeah.
So I feel like, you could squeeze in 600,000 to watch that game. I think like 2 million is not a gaudy number. She got 19 million for the final game. At her tournament games were blowing up last year.
I know, but that was April.
Yeah.
The Cowboys weren't playing. I'm sorry. Not to make it all about one team. I just think it's going to be tough. Will is in San Diego, wants to talk about another star in the sport, Shohei Ohtani, a star in sports. What's up, Will?
Yes. I heard you guys mention Ohtani can't perform in the offseason, or he hasn't performed in the offseason, just to make that correction. What about the World Baseball Classic when he went up and, the last final game and struck out the best baseball player in the world at that time and proved he was the best baseball player in the world? And then also, of course, his record-setting day. It's an amazing day for baseball in general. I don't think there should be any arguments around it.
Yeah, Will, not to be a check-the-tape kind of person, but I did bring up the World Baseball Classic as the greatest non-MLB moment that I've ever witnessed. And then beyond that, we have no idea what Shohei Ohtani can do in the postseason because he's literally never played a postseason game. So he hasn't been able to succeed or fail in the postseason. We just haven't seen it.
Were there any other non-MLB moments on that list? I was about to say, what?
Maybe College World Series? I don't know. I'm not sure. But it's up there.
Jake Bogus, his Little League team?
Haven't had the pleasure of seeing them in person. I'm going to leave that to you. Gary's in Jacksonville, has a thought for week 3 of the NFL and who's in a must-win situation. What's up, Gary?
Good morning, Maggie, Andrew. I say my Dolphins go into Seattle and win. McDaniel's got 10 days to get Skylar Thompson ready. They're going to go up there. They're going to win the game. And who do you guys pick in the Cowboys-Ravens game? Who do you like?
Oh, my gosh. I love it,
like
Gary.
the Ravens.
I'm actually going to go with the Cowboys on this one. Gary, thank you for the call. It's a 1-point spread. The Ravens are favored by a point. And I get the Ravens could go to 0-3, all of that. Both teams are coming off of bad losses. Ravens lost in the final minutes against the Las Vegas Raiders, and obviously the Cowboys got blown out. Here's why I think the Cowboys are going to win this game. At some point, you have to stop the run. They didn't do it against Green Bay. They didn't do it last week against the New Orleans Saints, and Alvin Kamara went crazy. At some point, you have to stop the run, or they should just tell Mike McCarthy and Mike Zimmer to get on the closest airplane and fly home. Because you have to make a statement that you can stop the run, and obviously that's what the Ravens are going to try to do.
Yeah, I think it's the desperation factor, just the 0-2. The fact that Cowboys, no rocket science here. Cowboys are 1-1, Ravens are 0-2, and Ravens just needed to tighten it up. I mean, they got loose in that fourth quarter. I feel like they're going to be on their P's and Q's, and obviously, I think the Ravens have a superpower. If Lamar wants to sell out and run, 20 times and risk his health, he could do it, and he's going to do it.
Yeah, he will, but I ask you, is that the smartest thing?
Long term, no. But you're 0-2, Maggie. There's no future if you go 0-3.
See, I think the Cowboys, even though they are 1-1, I think they've got to be feeling a little desperate too. Maybe not to the extreme level of the Ravens, but
they got some Giants cupcakes coming up. The Ravens have a much tougher schedule.
You just got totally waxed by the Saints at home. This was shades of the Packers. Like, if this doesn't light a fire under your butt, I have no idea what will.
I mean, they could easily lose this game and win the division. There's just no doubt about it. Like this, the Eagles don't look great. The Giants look awful, and the Commanders have a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, but if you're scoreboard watching already in week 3,
well, I know it's just
playing
like
these games. If you're the Cowboys, that's not a good sign.
But the Ravens, I mean, that is true desperation. That's throw the kitchen sink at this game.
Who was voted the most annoying player in the NFL? And it was a landslide. Give you the results next. Maggie Perloff. One sec. Stealing a line from Michael K here, and I'm not crediting him. So if this gets back to him, might have a radio feud.
In the Gotham streets, the night is still, but Batman's got a new type of thrill. He's hosting sports talk on the radio waves, breaking down the game, making bold hot takes. But where's my quota? The signal's a flop. Peter Bellani didn't show up on the clock. Oh, Peter, where are you? The bat signal's on. I'm trying to break down LeBron and Zion. The Dark Knight's ready, but the show's a fight. Without Bellani, I can't win the night. Infinity Sports, where heroes speak, but Bellani's absence, man, it's weak. Gotham's villains, I can handle no sweat, but no board up. That's my biggest threat. I'm talking touchdowns, slam dunks, and more, but the Pete's ghosting me right out the door. Oh, Peter, where are you? The bat phone's dead. I need your help before I lose my head. The Joker's laughing, but this ain't a joke. Bloody, come on, don't leave me in smoke. Alfred's trying to fix the feed, but even he knows I'm in need of my trusty board up, but he's a no-show. Guess Batman's running this thing solo. Peter, where are you? The sports world's on fire. Gotham needs me, but this is dire. The Cape Crusader can't do it all. Without Bellani, this show's bound to fall.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Rodgers takes the snap. Play action. Looks right. Pumps once. Throws right. Caught. Front right pylon. Garrett Wilson. That's a Jet touchdown. Garrett Wilson. Toe taps. Just inside the front right pylon. And Aaron Rodgers puts it right in his hands. And the Jets extend their lead.
Bob Wischusen on the call. Jets Radio Network. Listen, all right, I get it. Why people are scared of the Jets. Last night, you got a glimpse of Aaron Rodgers in a vintage performance. Pearl, we've been waiting a long time to see this. San Francisco was a little disappointing in the opener. Tennessee has a good defense. That was kind of a slog of a game. This was Aaron Rodgers being that dude. Ball coming out quick. Ball getting distributed to every single one of his offensive weapons, everyone eating, everyone having a good day. And Rodgers looked good when he did have to escape pressure and even ran for a couple first downs.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that stood out to me was the weapons. Mike Williams looked amazing. I thought that guy was supposed to be always injured. Alan Lazard back from the dead. The two running backs are great. So it's just a little hard because the Patriots look like, I mean, if there's a worse, I mean, the Panthers are bad. But I can't imagine this roster is crazy with the Patriots. Like, they are so bereft of talent. It just hits you in the face. And they look poorly coached on top of that, at least offensively. Defensively, they did their best. But, yeah, this was incredible, the Jets. I just I wonder how it's going to look against really good teams. How's it going to look against your Bills? Is the offense, is Aaron Rodgers going to be able to move like that and hit those passes, or is he going to be, or is someone going to be able to chase him down? Because he looked faster than the Patriots last night. It's incredible. He looked young.
Yeah, and you do kind of forget that he is 40 coming off the Achilles when he's in a rhythm like that. And listen, there were a couple times when he got taken down, so maybe you're like, all right, is he going to pop up? Is he going to be hobbling?
I know, I was nervous too.
But, you know, I think we're getting further and further away from it. And I guess maybe are you a little more concerned when he's actually playing in their home stadium, because the turf at MetLife Field is kind of taken on a life of its own, about how, you know, there's like a boogeyman aspect to the turf. People think that it causes injuries. But anyway, this Patriots team is not good. Clock may have struck midnight a little on the Patriots. All the pixie dust could be gone from the first 2 weeks. They beat the Bengals in Cincinnati, took overtime with the Seattle Seahawks, so that they eventually lose. It's like, all right, well, maybe the Patriots have a little something going. They don't. Jacoby Brissett was battered and bruised, and it's just not a dynamic offense by any stretch. So here you go. You get a good combination here that works out in the Jets' favor. Final score, 24-3, does not tell the story. The Jets had total control of this game. They had total control of time of possession. Their defense was way, way more scary, ferocious. And, you know, this makes me feel good that I picked the Jets to win the division. This makes me feel good that I picked the Jets to go to the AFC Championship game. This is the type of thing that you get worried about.
Yeah, I just feel like their schedule's so easy. Like, they're favored in almost every game.
They're playing Denver next week.
They have a lot of Denver. They have Jacksonville. They have Seattle. Like, they're Colts. I'm looking at, like, there are a lot of very winnable games. Is this going to be an Aaron Rodgers year, high seed, bust in the playoffs?
Or MVP.
Yeah, bust in the playoffs, right? That was he had 2 MVPs and lost. Did he lose his first playoff game in both those seasons?
So here's the thing about what happens in the playoffs, though. If you just look on paper, this is the type of team that wins in the playoffs, where you have a good quarterback who's being efficient, you have multiple weapons, and you have a running game and a great defense. Like that generally does win you. Like the thing about Green Bay, the defense was never able to live up to their end of the bargain in a lot of those games.
Well, I think the real way to see somebody who's going to fall short in the playoffs is somebody who got there because of an easy schedule, somebody who got there because of an easy division. Remember Peyton Manning used to always bomb out in the playoffs. I'm like, yeah, because you're not playing the 3 franchise teams in your division. So
I don't know. The Patriots always had a real easy path, and they were awesome in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. But I do think that like you might have a deceiving Jets record at the end of this year. Because the Patriots are obviously awful. I think the Dolphins are going to probably fall apart. And then they're your Bills. They probably split with the Bills. That means they're 5-1 in the division. So maybe not. I mean, maybe the Dolphins figure this out. Maybe Tua comes back. But generally, it's setting up really pretty for the Jets. I don't know. It's hard for me to actually believe the Jets are going to really get to that next level. Like, is this better than the Mark Sanchez Jets? Or is it the same old Jets? I don't know. I can't get there, Maggie. You know what I mean? Like, the history is still weighing on me despite what I saw on the field.
This team is better than the Mark Sanchez Jets. Listen, those teams did a lot more. They went to back-to-back AFC Championship games, so like I can't tell you the results. But
this team would beat Tom Brady's Patriots. Ooh, I'm just
telling
statement.
you, Mark Sanchez was they had to work around him. At one point, they had a color-coded system that they had to go to tell Mark whether it was red light or green light or yellow light. I think they probably have more talented wide receivers already. I don't know. The run game.
Slightly
you had LaDainian Tomlinson.
It's a bold statement after seeing them whoop the Patriots last night. That they're better than
those were talented teams.
They were extremely talented.
They're expensive teams.
I went to tons of their
lot.
games. I was at their AFC Championship games. I co-hosted a show with someone who was a star of that team, Mark Scott. They were the number 1 defense. So that was something that made it a little different. I think the Jets are a top 5 defense.
Yeah.
That team was number 1.
They had borderline Hall of Famers all up and down that offensive line. In fact, I don't even know
Damian
borderline.
Willie, Alan
The
Faneca,
offensive line was definitely
Nick
better.
Mangold.
Nick Mangold.
Let's not forget the greatest name in football history.
Brickashaw Ferguson.
Yeah, I mean, they had
Long Island.
4 All-Pros.
here.
They had a very, very expensive team, too. Like,
It was kind of a
they
weirdly
went all
built
in.
team because, like as you said, Maggie, like they had in both of you guys, really big stars, but perhaps not quarterback, perhaps not skill position where you look at it and say, wow, that's a supernova. Like you see Aaron Rodgers, that's a supernova at quarterback. You see Garrett Wilson, that's a supernova at receiver. Like they didn't have that.
Right.
Now, do they have, and I was going to say the reason why I hate to rain on my own parade, because I'm definitely having one, having the Patriots and Phillies get dog walked in the same night is a great night in the Stewart household. But you see a guy like Morgan Moses go down, a guy who's usually an Iron Man but is older. And I go back to what has been the biggest issue for the Jets over the last few years has been offensive line health. And he went down. We hope he comes back. But is Elijah Vera Tucker going to survive another 17-game season? He's coming off an Achilles. Tyron Smith is due for a strained tricep that sits him for a while. Like, are they going to be able to protect Rodgers the way they did last night for the whole season? That's one thing I'm worried about.
Well, it was such a big deal to watch Rodgers escape from pressure because it's not going to be perfect. You don't have that offensive line we talked about that was protecting a rookie Mark Sanchez who went to the AFC Championship game and was, the next year beating the Patriots on the road. Like that, you don't have that line. But if Rodgers can escape, then it will help.
Or is he going to be a little overconfident about running? I mean, I got nervous when I saw him running around. That one time he was tackled out of bounds right on the line and sort of tripped. That looked like an injury waiting to happen.
I thought when he slid, I got a little worried.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know why sliding is like the safest play that you have besides a kneel down. And I was like, is he going to pop up okay?
Yeah, I don't know if I want him moving around as much as he did last night.
Let's go to Adrian. He's our pal in Maryland, telling us all to pump the brakes. What's up, Adrian?
Yeah, let's pump the brakes here, Maggie. When Aaron Rodgers was with Green Bay, actually it was his offense that flawed because when they played the 49ers one playoff game, I think they scored 12 points.
Yep.
So let's not say it was all Green Bay's defense. There was a lot of Aaron Rodgers. Brady gave away 3 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers never capitalized on it. So I think it's a little more of Aaron Rodgers. Let's slow down on these Jets. Don't forget the first week, 49ers, they got manhandled. They should have lost the game last week against Tennessee if it wasn't for Will Levis. So
Yep.
let's not act like this is a great defense against a terrible, terrible Patriots offense that couldn't even drop back and give Brissett 2 seconds to throw the ball.
Okay, but Adrian, here's the thing. As Perloff keeps pointing out, this is not a hard schedule for New York. So, how are we ever going to know? Maybe, I guess, until the postseason, because do you think you're going to get an accurate view when they play Denver next week? No. I mean, they have to go to London to play the Vikings. Who knows with those games? They're always wonky. And it's not like they're not facing Murderer's Row this year.
I agree with that. The NFL set the Jets up to succeed, as you can see, because basically they're I guess they're backloaded as far as their games, but you are what you are. You are. And we'll find out if they make it to the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make it to the playoffs.
Because you think Rodgers is getting hurt?
No. I think their defense is really flawed. It just wasn't shown last night. Their defense is flawed, and they have problems. They only can go to Wilson to throw the ball, and he wasn't even that good last night.
Yeah, there's still some room for improvement there with Rodgers to Garrett Wilson.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
They weren't on the same page on a lot of plays.
Yeah, no, but generally though, Adrian, I do think I thought you saw some other options emerge, and who cares? Those running backs are awesome.
Yeah, that's true.
But the Patriots could not tackle. They had so many angles on those guys and just let them go right by them.
And Perloff, they couldn't tackle. They were in the hole every time to make the tackle, and they did not execute on making the tackle. We can't go by what the Patriots look like, because the Patriots are. I'm not saying they're tanking, but they're not really trying to win games, because Drake May's going to be in there week 7, week 8, just to see what he has. And I understand they shouldn't put him in there because he's going to get killed.
Yeah.
He's going to get killed behind this offensive line. So we just can't go by what we've seen last night. That's all I'm saying. Thanks for taking my call, guys. Have a great Friday, great weekend.
Adrian, you too. Always appreciate when you check in. Yeah, I mean, I've been on record with this. If you are putting in Drake May, like with this idea that, we'll just wait until like week 8 or week 9 or week 10 so we can see what we have, but you're putting him behind this terrible offensive line. What do you think the opponent does? They don't say, oh, wow, we're just getting a look at Drake May. We should ease up on the pass rush. No. He got sacked twice last night. Now, he can move a little bit, so maybe he can protect himself, but he's going to get crunched.
I mean, you're going to have to play this kid at some point.
Why?
Because the Patriots aren't going to be any better next year. That roster is 4 years away. What, are you just going to wait? If you're going to wait around for the Patriots to get good, then he's going to be on his 3rd contract by the time he plays.
Well, maybe the offensive line can get a little bit better in an offseason.
That wasn't just the offensive line, by the way. The coaches seemed to have no idea what was going on.
Okay.
I mean, there was the offensive line. They weren't even engaging with the Jets. Like 3 free rushers were coming in on every play because they just didn't think the Patriots were going to throw a long. If Drake May's out there, maybe you have him heave it downfield once in a while.
To who?
To anybody, any human body that's out there. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, he was so unthreatening. The Jets just let the dogs out every play.
855-212-4227. Jets beating the Patriots, not the only thing going on in sports last night. Shohei Ohtani, yesterday afternoon-ish, joined some exclusive company, 50-50 Club, and exclusive meaning he's the only one there. It's a club of one, 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. The TV call, Joe Davis, says the greatest day in baseball history. Do you agree? George is in L.A. calling about something other than the Rams. Good morning, George.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, I might as well switch over to the Dodgers for now.
Smart.
But Shohei Ohtani, we got our money's worth, 50-50, first guy ever. And you know that most of that $700 million is on the backside. And advertising out of Japan and Asia is amazing for the Dodgers and for their franchise. So I think everything is coming together for the Dodgers. We'll see if they can get the World Series this year or not. But you guys have a great weekend and a good morning. Thank you.
George, thank you. Yeah, I mean, let's check the poll results. Can we get an update here on Shohei?
Yeah, so we asked a question earlier. Was Shohei Ohtani's 3 home run, 10 RBI, 2 stolen base game that clinched MLB's first ever 50-50 season the greatest single-day performance in baseball history? 69% say yes, 31% say no.
I mean, you guys want to poo-poo this record, like, oh, stolen bases don't mean as much. I mean, the crowd is into this. And this is, I don't think we have like a, I think we got a pro baseball crowd as part of our, social media following. They know. It's not like they're watched their first baseball game yesterday.
I just don't know, for me, how you can say this is greater than Reggie Jackson in the World Series. That, to me, is just someone wants to call in. Someone needs to explain that to me. Like, I think this is definitely one of the greatest ever, no question. I'm not even crazy about the 50-50, but to do it in this fashion, 10 RBIs. I kept telling you guys about 10 RBIs. I know the 3 home runs are crazy. 10 RBIs in the game is ridiculous. Like, I don't even know how to wrap my brain around that.
I know Perloff doesn't recognize RBI as a meaningful stat.
Well, I mean, you can't get one. You can't get a 2 RBIs if you're up at the bat with nobody on the bases. So anyway, regardless of that, though, I just think that, I think we're getting caught up in the moment. But is it because of the 50-50, or is it because if this was in May, would this be the greatest? Like, that's what I'm still confused about what people
are. It's the 50-50.
Yeah.
So, okay, see, because to me, like, I think you have to separate the two. Like, if this game happened and you didn't get 50-50, it wouldn't be the greatest single-game offensive performance? Like, that's...
I think so. Because to me, I think about, like, Derek Jeter hitting a home run to go for 3,000.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the greatest moments, because it's like, I mean, Derek Jeter hit home runs, but to hit a home run to hit 3,000 is remarkable.
Yeah.
So I think that it is baked in.
How do you do it? Yeah.
Right. But again, we're talking about there are postseason performances that that have been unmatched. And again, Reggie Jackson being the one I'm really thinking about. Someone needs to explain to me how this is better than that.
Yeah, I mean, we had a caller earlier who said Don Larsen's perfect game in a World Series. Yeah, I think those are definitely two that were bigger.
And it's the Marlins. Yeah. I mean, come on. Like,
it's about Shohei, though.
He's great, but like Reggie Jackson's doing it against like a great team in the World Series. And we're talking about the Marlins have a position pitcher player at the end of the game. I mean, come on.
Speaking of, the final score was 20-4.
Yeah,
but a couple tack-ons. Is that what you're saying? Compiler.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. There was actually a moment yesterday, speaking of the Marlins, where Skip Schumacher, who's the manager for the Marlins, could have walked Ohtani when he was at 49 homers. The first base was open. Could have walked him and decided we're going to do history. And you saw the officials were kind of like scrambling to make sure the balls were all authenticated and all that stuff because they were on the precipice. Should he have just walked him? Do you not want history being made on your field against your team? I mean, the Marlins are now like the answer to a trivia question.
You can't walk him there. You can't. You got to play the game. Like I don't like smoke dodging. That's one of the things I hate the most. Like, play the game the way you would normally play the game. It's a blowout. There's no reason not to pitch to him, other than you're trying to avoid embarrassment. You're an embarrassing team. You have 59 wins. You got embarrassed 3-4 months ago. You can't now decide, okay, we're going to hold this embarrassment. You should have got a better roster in the offseason.
But that's not Skip Schumacher's fault.
Sure.
There's a general manager and a front office who decides who the players are. And there is one thing about being bad in anonymity, which the Marlins are because nobody cares about them, and then being center stage, you just served up maybe the greatest day in the history of baseball. I'm not about, I don't like people who dodge smoke either, EJ, but I do think there's something to, how does this help your team? You're Skip Schumacher. I'm not trying to help Ohtani, and I'm not trying to help Major League Baseball either. How do I help my team? Does serving them up on a platter for Ohtani basically to feast, does that help the psyche of my team?
I think, honestly, if you really want to help your team, pull a fire alarm and just end this season as quickly as possible. Like,
if they only could.
Like, it can't get any worse.
Yeah. What's the difference?
It just got worse.
It can't. Like, you're not winning anything anyway. So let these players get their innings, pitch. The only thing you can question is Vidal Brujan pitching in the 9th inning. That's the one
Position
thing
player.
you can argue that you could have walked him or pitched around him or fooled around.
Make a position player serve up his 51st home run. Like, again, Ohtani's, I thought that was interesting. If I was Skip Schumacher, I would have walked him. 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up next, every Friday, we welcome Nick Kostos, the co-host of You Better You Bet, onto the show to help us, and by extension you, make some money this weekend. We'll do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
and the breeze. But Pete at work, now that's just our tease. Follow Pete, oh Pete, will you ever show? Oh, you lost in the fields, so you call it meadow. Valero's fading, the day's almost through. But Bellotti, my friend, we're still...
I'm a fan to be in New York when the New York teams are good. But I can handle the Jets being good. I cannot handle the New York Giants being good because I'm an Eagles fan.
Well, don't worry about it.
Yeah, so I'm in good shape. That's all I'm saying.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I did have the Mets beat the Phillies last night. That was tough. But Jets I can handle. As long as the Giants aren't good, all is good in the world.
Wow, it's funny you would say that just as we are welcoming in our guest, Nick Kostos, co-host of You Better You Bet, noted Giants fan, actually had a lot invested in the Giants last week. But Nick, are you off for the season? Or you still got any kind of hope? Or where are you with the Giants?
To echo what Maggie just said, good news for you, buddy. The Giants aren't going to be good for a while, so I think you're going to be pretty happy. Not only am I not off the Giants for the season, I'm almost certainly going to bet them on Sunday coming up against the Cleveland Browns to cover the spread. And I don't want to do it, but I feel like we absolutely have to do it, unfortunately, this Sunday.
Okay, so I was actually going to start with you right there. Nick Kostos joining us. There's a couple of these 6.5s that are out there, these 6.5 point spreads. Cleveland, the New York Giants is one. Tampa Bay hosting Denver is another one. And I think more than 6.5, the 49ers at the Rams. I've seen that up to 7, sometimes 7.5. So for some of the larger spreads this week, how are you approaching that?
Okay, so I actually think with the two 6.5 games, which currently is Giants and Denver underdogs, the Super Bowl 21 Memorial Parlay there with those two teams, 39-20 Giants in Pasadena, California at the Rose Bowl. Great game. I was 3 years old. I actually like both underdogs. And the question that you have to ask yourself is, can you pull the trigger with Daniel Jones and Bo Nix? I think it's a lot more palatable to do it with the Giants than it is to do it with Denver. And look, like I bet Cleveland last weekend against Jacksonville, so this is not like an anti-Cleveland thing. It's more week one, they got absolutely trucked, obviously, by the Cowboys at home. And then last week, and when you bet on games, even if you win a bet, like I bet Cleveland, I won my bet last week against Jacksonville, you owe it to yourself to kind of like do some investigating into the game to see, like, how did this game actually play out? And I'm not suggesting that Jacksonville should have won by 4 or more, but the Jaguars definitely should have won the game in the same way that Detroit should have beaten Tampa last week based on the box score and how the game went. So I do think Cleveland comes into the spot a little overvalued. And the question that I would ask people, and look, my franchise, my team is a total embarrassment, right? They lose the game last week. Just when you think they've reached a new low, grab the blue shovels, keep on digging, lose a game because you don't have a kicker. If the Giants win that game, not going away, but win it like a little comfortably on the road at Washington, I think the perception of this team is a lot different heading into this game against Cleveland. Now, something to consider. It's likely that Cleveland will get its 2 starting offensive tackles back for this game. I think this point spread is going to go up to 7, and I think that would be a buy point for me on the Giants. Now, as for Denver and Tampa, Tampa should not have won the game last week against Detroit. Bit of sour grapes for me, had Detroit in Survivor. Brutal exit there. But can you actually take the points with Bo Nix? I think it's 7. I think I actually would do it. It's Todd Bowles as a touchdown favorite, but then on the other side, it's Bo Nix. So Broncos or nothing for me there. And then Rams-Niners feels like a total crapshoot. Honestly, like, I might just bet Rams money line, like Rams to win the game. Injuries on both teams, both sides of the football. Now George Kittle might not play in the game. It's a stay away for me. I would probably lean into variance if you're going to bet that game. Bet Niners alts, like Niners to win by 17 or more, or just bet the Rams to win the game outright.
Nick, this isn't a straight betting question, but it applies to betting. Did you see where Mel Kiper was saying they should ban the too high safety look in the NFL?
Stupid.
But nobody's scoring. And
really dumb.
Some of these totals are like the Steelers and Chargers at 35. It does feel like something is changing where it's just hard to score the football these days. So is that because of the too high look? Is it injuries? Is it penalties? And are you going to keep on betting these unders because they're getting lower and lower?
My thought is, and this is totally subjective, I don't have to be right. I think the number one cause of this, and I used to work in the league. I worked for NFL radio for a decade. So I have a lot of contacts in the league that I can talk to, executives, et cetera, coaches, whatever. And the mantra that I get from people is it's because offensive line play is the worst it's ever been. And something else to consider now, with the way the offseason is structured, the way training camp practices are structured, with the agreement with the Players Association and the new collective bargaining agreement, September is basically August. Like September is like a preseason month now. We have Brian Balding around You Bet every week. He's said that each of the last 2 weeks has gone out of his way to say that September is the new August. So I'm not suggesting that we'll get into the holiday season in the holidays and there's going to be a ton of scoring. Like that's not my suggestion. But I do think that as the season rolls along, we will see offenses round into form. I think the big problem is that offensive line development's absolutely terrible. And I don't mean to get like too in the weeds here, but think about college football and I'm not criticizing this. Coaches are doing what they have to do. All the gimmicky offenses in college football that are not pro-style offenses that might not be preparing offensive linemen to really and truly play at the next level and block like real grown men that are coming to kill the quarterback, right? So I think we have those two things. And then also, we saw a lot of really great quarterbacks just like hang them up and retire. And the new wave of quarterbacks has not necessarily been as good. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe it's just luck. I'm not sure. But I think it's more a combination of those factors. Like, I think that's an excuse to say, wow, the defense has checkmated the offense. Like, this is professional football. Figure it out.
But, Nick, I am looking at 35.5 for Chargers Steelers. I don't want to bet the under on 35.5. That's like
you don't
19 to 17. I mean, it's just so low. I feel, and obviously you know more about this. It feels stressful to bet a number that low.
Well, I mean, is it when you have Justin Fields on one side and Justin Herbert with a walking boot on the other with two offenses that want to run the football? I mean, I do have a bet in that game. I will not bet the total. But yeah, like I understand where you're coming from. And I play like a ton of fantasy football. Like I'm in like 70 leagues with best ball included. Like I love this stuff. I bet props. It is frustrating, right? Like we all want to see tons of scoring. Let's reserve judgment and see how this goes as the season moves along.
Nick, what's your best fantasy football name?
I have like really bad fantasy football names. I used to come up with like really inventive, like probably offensive ones like back in the day. And now I'm just like Kostos is like the name. Or like even worse. Like I have Malik Neighbors on a few of my teams because I love him, and it's like, won't you be my neighbor? NABER. It's I'm 41 and I'm a new dad. Like I'm not funny. I'm not funny anymore.
No, you are really going towards sad dad territory there. At least you admit it.
Big time.
Nick Kostos, you bet. I give Perloff crap about that all the time. How about a couple road favorites? You already told us what you thought about San Francisco. You would say bet the Rams or an alternate line for the 49ers or nothing. Couple other road favorites we have for, I think you said that. Kansas City, 3-point favorite against Atlanta. Detroit, same 3-point favorite in Arizona. And then the Ravens, very small, 1-point favorite in Dallas. How do you see these road favorites?
Okay, so Ravens Cowboys is my least favorite of the three. If I had to bet the game, I would bet Baltimore. Not because everyone will say the trend, oh, well, Lamar Jackson is 20-1 against the NFC. Great. Like, doesn't matter at all. Who cares? They haven't played the Cowboys in 4 years. I don't think it matters at all. But I do think the Ravens are better than the Cowboys. Dallas in week 1 did smash Cleveland. Box score probably a little closer than the final score would indicate, and then got boat raced last week by New Orleans. The Ravens came close to at least keeping the game close against the Chiefs, like a toe away literally from maybe winning the game on Thursday Night Football. And not that I bet the Raiders last week, not that they should have won or covered the spread in the game, won by 10, but definitely should have won. I think the Ravens are better than Dallas, the more desperate team. I would bet Baltimore. That's my least favorite of those three games. Quickly on the others. I bet Arizona +3 at home against Detroit. There's a case to be made. He won't win MVP because Arizona won't win enough games to get him there. But Kyler Murray is playing at an MVP level through the first 2 games of the season. There's a case to be made right now that he is the best quarterback in the NFL through the first 2 weeks of the season. I'm not saying he's the best, just that he's playing like he's the best. And conversely, kind of lost in what's happened with Detroit and the red zone foibles last weekend against Tampa Bay, Jared Goff's been brutal to start the season. I'm a Jared Goff fan. I think him and Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, too many weapons. They'll figure it out. But this is quarterback playing poorly on the road at quarterback playing well. We do run the risk of the Lions just like running the ball for 200 yards in this game with it, which is possible. But at 3, I will take the points with the Arizona Cardinals, and I would never bet the over in this game. Think about it. Detroit's going to run the ball, and 1 for 7 last week in the red zone, total in the 50s. I would bet the under there. And then Chiefs Falcons. I bet this game earlier in the week. I talked about it on You Bet. I took the 3.5 with Atlanta. At 3, probably no bet on the game. if it ever went to 2.5, would bet Kansas City immediately. Like 3 is the right number in this game. And I think I'll be brief about this. I think Kansas City is going to three-peat. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl again. My issue with Kansas City now, without Isaiah Pacheco, out 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured fibula, and no Hollywood Brown, I think we may see this Chiefs offense, and we saw a little bit of this last week against Cincinnati, where are they going to be able to sustain the offense, the explosive plays on offense, to win games by margin? Like they went 11-6 last year, but every time they were a big favorite, they were not covering point spreads in games. So I'll take a shot on Falcons, but if you're going to bet Atlanta, you have to bet 3.5 or more. Do not bet 3.
Nick, I think one of the big questions in this NFL season, what do we do with the New Orleans Saints? Is this the real deal? I saw the spread is now 2.5. I believe it opened at 1. My Eagles I think they're in trouble against Derek Carr. He looks great.
Yeah, he does. And just to illustrate your point, Perloff, on Monday, prior to the Eagles-Falcons game kicking off, which the Eagles lost, and Saquon Barkley dropped a really, really big pass.
Oh, you don't say.
The $26 million drop. I thought absolutely.
As my friend Chris Carlin tweeted out, that was the highlight of the Giants season. Saquon Barkley dropping that.
And at the end of the season, it'll be the highlight of the season also, which is really sad. The Eagles were a 2.5-point road favorite on the look, which is whatever, a look ahead line. You can't bet money into it, but just saying, perception wise, 2.5-point road favorite, now like a 3-point road dog, and a seismic move. And we see this every single year where a team will like outperform expectations and the betting market kind of doesn't know what to do with them. So right now we're hanging on like Saints in between 2.5 and 3. Every time this goes up to 3, people will come and bet the Philadelphia Eagles as a number grab. You ask me my opinion, I think the Eagles are up against it here just in terms of a spot, right? Like A.J. Brown's not going to play in the game. Secondary's been brutal. No pass rush in the game last week against Atlanta, notably on the final drive. And we'll see if New Orleans can sustain this throughout the entire season. But I mean, like everyone needs to know this name. I'm sure you guys have talked about him. Like Gary Kubiak's son, Clint, who's the offensive coordinator in New Orleans. This keeps up. Like he will be a head coach in the NFL next year. He will be coaching a team next season if this keeps up.
Probably the Giants.
Make me pick. I love that. Send Dable back to Buffalo with your guys. Honestly, like play Saints alts here. Like if you like the Saints in the game, like the Saints will probably kill them. Saints minus 9.5, Saints minus 6.5. That's how I would look to play this game.
All right, Nick, couple more for you. Nick Kostos joining us on You Bet or You Bet. Dolphins, Seahawks. We talked a lot about the Dolphins. Are they going to try to get another quarterback? They're going to go with Skylar Thompson. You get a couple extra days to prepare. I don't really know what to make of the Seahawks. I have them as a playoff team, but a little shaky. That Patriots game had me, a little nervous, and they have a defensive-minded head coach, so it's frustrating to watch because they're always kicking the field goal instead of going for it on a 4th and 1. It's annoying to me. This is a 4.5-point spread. How do you see this?
Yeah, I'll give you a quick one on this. No bet for me on the game at the current number. This opened like 6.5, and like there was a too big of an overreaction to Tua being out. So 4.5, like we're in like the dead zone right now. Yeah, like 3.5 and 5.5. No bet for me on the game, made me bet it. I would actually bet Miami plus the points, but I think the point spread's perfect. I just don't want to belabor the point anymore. I don't have a strong opinion on the game.
Okay, what about the Monday night doubleheader quickly, because this will be the last time we're going to talk to you. So the Bills 5-point favorite against what's got to be an extremely desperate Jaguars team that's 0-2, and then Bengals 0-2, although people will say, they got everybody right where they want them, facing a Commanders team that basically has Jaden Daniels' legs, and that's about it.
Yeah, so I like both underdogs here. I like the Jaguars plus 5.5. I'll have a ticket on the Jaguars to win the game, a smaller ticket. This is like absolutely desperate, backs against the wall Jaguars team, and it's possible they get trucked in this game. Like Josh Allen's been awesome. The Bills have been really good. And then Doug Peterson likely to be the first coach fired if and when that happens. But we had not a identical setup, but a semi-similar setup to last year early in the season. Maggie, you'll remember this. Yep. Jaguars and the Bills play in London. Point spread's almost identical. Jaguars win the game, which is not a reason why the Jaguars can win this game. Just that we have seen like early season Jaguars backs against the wall come out and play pretty well. I think this is like a kitchen sink game for Jacksonville. Maybe they don't win the game. I'll have a smaller bet on them to win in addition to my spread bet. Jaguars plus the points. And I bet the Commanders plus 7.5 on the road at Cincinnati. Like I get it. The Bengals are better. Bengals are likely to win the game. I don't trust this Bengals defense at all. And I think Jaden Daniels and the Commanders can do enough offensively to at least stay inside the number in what I expect to be a high-scoring game. So I'll take both dogs on Monday night. Jaguars plus the points, Commies plus the points.
Well, Jaguars co-owner Tony Khan's going to join us in studio in the next hour, so we'll be sure to ask him. We'll be sure to ask him whether Doug Peterson is going to be the first coach fired.
Ask him when Will Ospreay is going to get the AEW championship. That's what I want to know.
We are also going to ask him that. Yes, I do remember that Bills-Jags game. Don't get me started about how the league favors Jacksonville by keeping them in London for 2 weeks in a row.
You think that means they favor them?
Well, Bills play them in the second week. They're basically citizens of Great Britain at that point.
No, stop it. Come on. Stop it.
Nick, you're the best. Thank you. Nick Kostos, you better, you bet. You got a Shohei opinion, Nick?
Yeah, Shohei. Are you impressed by 50-50, or do you think stolen bases are watered down?
I don't understand. I think that's the worst question I've ever been asked. Well, I mean, who's not impressed by 50-50? Come on, what does that mean?
Talking to one of them.
Me
Andrew
and
Perloff.
EJ Stewart, our producer.
Hello.
I mean, dude, you can't.
But like, I think you need to explain this.
Yes.
You got to explain that. I don't need to explain why I'm impressed by it.
You can steal bases right now.
No one's ever done it before.
The rules are so in favor of the base runner now. They're ridiculous.
No one's ever done it before.
Right.
Like, no one's ever done 50-50.
They're going to start doing it because stolen bases are easy. So it doesn't mean the same. And by the way, home runs aren't what they used to be, and you know it.
They are, though, right? Then now with the steroid era being over, they absolutely are back to being what they used to be.
No, people are hitting more home runs than they've ever hit, even more than the steroid era. You cannot look at home runs.
What are you talking about? Bonds hit 73 in a season. No one's coming close to that now.
What are you talking about? First of all, the MLB basically resets the total home run record every year. I mean, they're still hitting millions of homers. There's tons of homers. You're wearing a Yankees hat. Your guy hits 50, just rolls out of bed and hits a home run.
Is this so? Listen, I'm willing to acknowledge, like, you're probably more in the weeds on this than me in a good way. Do you think we're going to see more 50-50 in the near future?
Yeah, 100%. I will. In fact, I will guarantee you 50-50 will not last. Shohei.
When's
might
the
go
next season going to be
next year? 60-60 for Shohei.
When will the next 50-50 season be?
Next
besides
year,
for Shohei,
2025.
Okay. Maybe Juan Soto will do it for the Mets. Can't wait to see it. So listen, maybe you're right, but how can you not be impressed? And yesterday's game.
I'm totally impressed, but people call it the greatest day in baseball history, the greatest performance ever.
But was it not? Like, in all seriousness,
you're wearing a Yankees hat. What about Reggie Jackson 3 home runs?
But that's in the World Series. This is a regular season game.
I know. They said baseball. Joe Davis's call was the greatest day in the history of baseball, which he didn't say regular season. So then we're like, well, Reggie's 3, Don Larson's perfect game. Like, there's better performances.
Well, okay, so maybe it's a little bit prisoner of the moment, but I mean, it's okay. How about this? It's in the pantheon of great performances. Can we agree with that?
Yeah, it's in the ballpark. No,
Perloff, you hate him, man.
I just don't like. I mean, pantheon. I'll give you it's pantheon worthy. I'm not sure what that means.
And he's a pantheon sports gambler also.
Oh, one more thing. Yeah,
Thank you,
Nick. Would you have him pitch? Maggie and I disagree about this all the time, or would you just keep him as a hitter and preserve his health?
If I as a fan, I want to see him pitch.
Oh, if you ran the Dodgers, what do you think you would do?
Oh, dude, their pitching's terrible. Of course he's got to pitch. Like, they're gonna get bounced in the first. They're gonna lose in the NLDS. Like, you're wearing a Phillies hat, Perloff. Like, you're not gonna see your team will not see the Dodgers in the NLCS. They're getting bounced. Like, I want everyone to, like, right now, the Dodgers will not win one playoff series. Their pitching is atrocious. They will lose to whatever team they play in the NLDS.
Nick,
they
need
him to
voice
pitch.
of reason. The voice of reason. This is what I've been saying. They need, if Ohtani's going to win a World Series, he has got to be on the mound for the Dodgers in their biggest moments.
Nah, Perloff wants to see Bobby Miller pitch instead.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to go great.
As a Phillies fan, I'm sure he'd love to see that.
As long as we don't lose to the Mets, if we lose to the Mets and I'm relocating, I'm going to witness protection.
I'll tell you what, man. I bet your team last night just on the, like, I think the Mets will collapse.
Oh, I know. Isn't it weird that the Mets aren't collapsing?
It is weird. There is still time for what it's worth.
Hey.
And I am wearing a Yankees hat. I understand.
Yeah, we're about to sweep you off here like amateur night at the Apollo. Nick, co-host of You Better You Bet. You're the best. We'll talk to you next Friday. Have a great show.
If if it makes everyone feel better, the Yankees won't win the World Series either. Wishing everybody minimal sweats winning bets. The absolute very best of luck.
Thank you, Nick Kostos. Love the show. You Better You Bet. It's a must listen, whether you're a gambler or not. It's just entertaining. Okay, we're going to come back. We have a lot more to do, including the M&P 500, whose stock is up and whose stock is down at the end of a very busy week.
You're in a 5-minute break.
This is
Maggie's in the office, can't take it no more. Just a small town girl, she slams the door. The lights go down and the music starts to play. But Maggie's had enough, she's screaming no way. Sick of the journey and tired of the song. The midnight train, it's been rolling too long. But while she's out here hating on the tune, Peter Bellatti's the one who's gone too soon. Don't stop believing, Pete's not showing up. Hold on to that feeling, yeah, that's not enough. Street life people want, but Peter don't care. He's missing again and there's no one there. Maggie's in the break room, hearing that refrain. Strangers waiting, but Pete's missed his train. She's working hard to get her fill, but Pete's just living life at a standstill. She's searching in the night for Bellatti's excuse, but all she finds is another lame ruse. That midnight train ain't bringing him in. He's just like that song, one way too thin. Don't stop believing, but Pete's still in my head. Hold on to that feeling, he's out for the day. Working 9 to 5, nah, Pete's long gone. Like the street light people, he drifts until dawn. Some will win, some will lose, we've heard it all before. But Peter's never showing up, he's out the door. The movie never ends, and neither does the wait. Maggie's stuck with Journey, but Pete's absentee fate. Don't stop believing, yeah, we're all fed up. Hold on to that feeling, but Pete won't show up. Street life people, they're out there grinding, but Peter Bellotti, still no sign of him. So long, Maggie can't stand that song on repeat. The real problem's Pete, who just can't take a seat. Don't stop believing, or maybe just do, 'cause Peter Bellotti, he's ghosting the crew. Maggie's in the office, can't take it no more. Just a small town girl, she slams the door. The lights go down and the music starts to play. But Maggie's had enough, she's screaming no way. Sick of the journey and tired of the song. The midnight train is
45 seconds remaining. $30 remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. If you miss Nick Kostos, co-host of You Better You Bet, you can always download the Maggie and Perloff podcast wherever you get them. 5-star reviews are very helpful. It's a small thing. It really helps us a lot, though. Andrew Bogish is here with headlines. Hello, Bogues.
Hello again, Maggie. I've got some breaking NBA news very close to home for your buddy over here. Joel Embiid is signing a 3-year extension with the Sixers, said to be worth $193 million. There's also a $69 million player option for the 28-29 season. Embiid tweeting this morning he wants to play his entire career in Philly and that Sixer fans, for reasons unknown, deserve a title.
Wait, does he have a no-trade clause in there?
Couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I was about to say, where
what year is it? He's talking about 2029? It's 2024? Okay.
Where are we in the NBA? Can guys grumble their way out of contracts? Like, should I feel safe that Embiid's going to stay there, or is it I have to worry
Never.
KD style?
Wait, is this a good day for you? You hate Joel Embiid.
No. Like, you have to understand where the bar is. It is a good day. Like, I don't think Embiid's ever going to win a title, but he's way better than the alternative, which is not even making the playoffs.
Got it.
I mean, Paul George is 35, but generally this team, when Embiid's not on the court, they're G League level. They're not good. They're just picking guys off the garbage pile and put them out there.
Right. But
Scrap heap is what I meant, not garbage pile. I apologize to Kelly Oubre Jr.
Apologize to garbage piles.
Yeah.
Don't forget you have Paul George.
Well, but George is so old, though.
we have Maxey, guys. He's the future.
Yes.
This year's team is more talented than last year's team. Last year you had a lot of
the thing is
minimum salary guys.
Embiid gets hurt. I mean, like, trust me, they're going to be. They just are not a deep team. It's better than the alternative. But do you guys think he's going to win a title? He does not feel like a title-winning player.
Just won a gold medal.
Aren't you sweet?
Is that a bless my heart situation?
I feel like that should be the expectation. I think not putting that expectation on him is selling him short.
Yeah, it's a $193 million extension.
He's MVP. He's going to make $65 million a year. You should put that expectation on him, whether you think he can do it or not.
How about him showing up in shape? Wouldn't you take that?
That will never happen. I mean, it's been a long time now. He's not young. I don't think he's going to win a title. I don't even think that's like a hot take or.
Well, he's never gotten past the second round.
Yeah. He's hurt every single postseason. I mean, I have a lot of friends in my life and family who are Sixers fans, and they're all so cynical. They're like, yeah, it's great. We'll win 53 games, and he'll get hurt.
And lose to the Knicks in round 2, right, EJ?
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, luckily for me, the Knicks will also get hurt because Tom Thibodeau pays.
All of them?
Yes, because they play 44 minutes a game in the regular season. All of them will get hurt again.
Okay, we'll see.
What else?
A little more than a year after his first home start, ended with that torn Achilles. Aaron Rodgers back at MetLife last night, and it went much, much better.
Rodgers, quick toss to the left side. It's caught by Lazard. Makes a man miss. Lazard still going. He's in. Touchdown. The Jets strike first. Lazard breaks away. Alex Austin couldn't bring him down. It's a 10-yard touchdown. Rodgers to Lazard.
Ian Eagle called it on Westwood One. Rodgers also connected with Garrett Wilson in a 24-3 demolition of the Patriots. New England quarterbacks sacked 7 times. That's plural because Drake May finished this game. The last drive for New England completed 4 passes, 22 yards, was sacked twice. Head coach Gerard Mayo said postgame, the QB position, like all other positions, will be evaluated like after every game. The Bills don't play till Monday night, but have already ruled out linebacker Terrell Bernard with a pec injury and corner Teron Johnson with a forearm. The Boston Red Sox, 2-0 losers in Tampa Bay last night. They're 4 games behind the Twins and Tigers for the last AL wildcard as Minnesota comes to Fenway for the weekend. And we had more record-breaking on the final night of the WNBA regular season, but at least these are career records. Tina Charles, 10 points, 10 boards to set the all-time marks for rebounds and double-doubles. The The win for her dream, 78-67 at the Liberty, get them into the postseason. They get to face those Liberty in round 1 starting on Sunday in Brooklyn. Guys, back to you.
So, Pearl, if you want to put breakfast on the line for our bet about what's going to be the audience for the Caitlin Clark's WNBA playoff game 1.
Yeah, so the game is Sunday at 3. We'll probably get the rating maybe Monday night, so it might be Tuesday breakfast.
Okay, and you think it's going to be 2 million plus,
2
and I
million.
think it's going to be less than 2 million.
Less than 2 million, so that's the line.
Just because they're going up against the NFL, not because I'm trying to bash the WNBA.
It is on ABC, right?
Yep.
That helps.
Definitely, but again, does it help figure skating and gymnastics? Like, you're just doing a counter program with football.
They are not in the same category.
I get that,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying the NFL is just the behemoth.
I
And
don't
if you
even
get a
think-
good game in those 1 o'clocks and you got the witching hour and it's coming down, like
Yeah.
it's going to be hard.
I don't think it's counter programming really necessarily. Like it's not a throwaway. Those things feel like throwaways, just like put on an infomercial. Basically, I do feel the other thing too is that they average 1.2 million in the regular season, and it's Caitlin.
Right, but how many of those have they been going up against the NFL? A full slate of NFL games. Again, I'm not trying to bash the WNBA. I think it's unfortunate they're going up against the NFL. Like, nothing wins when they go up against the NFL.
I don't know if the NFL doesn't raise all boats. Like everyone's on their couch, so I wonder if there are like things get basically during a commercial you flip over to the game. I don't know how these ratings work, but I feel like there's a lot of people on their TVs. On their TVs like a device. Yeah. Is that where we're at now? Hey.
I just lay on mine.
Yeah. Aren't you afraid it's going to break?
The flat screen.
Very warm.
Boogers, thank you so much. All right, coming up in the next hour, Tony Khan, the president and CEO of AEW, also co-owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Fulham FC. He will join us in studio. And immediately, we'll talk about Shohei Ohtani and make some NFL picks. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
We all are watching this guy.
Oh my gosh! Shohei Ohtani! The greatest day in baseball history!
Whoa, Joe Davis on Sportsnet LA. It was a heck of a day. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It was history in the making. Shohei Ohtani, 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases, actually more than that now. He broke his own records. He's the only member of the 50-50 club. Perloff, he did it in style.
Yeah, I mean, again, greatest day in MLB history. Obviously feels rich. I've been arguing against it all day in the sense that what was so great? That he got to 50-50 or that he had this crazy output statistically? Or
yes,
both?
Yes, and yes. I think that's the combo.
And also, too, because let's face it, he's Shohei Ohtani. He's just a fascinating player. He's like no one we've ever seen.
Yeah, and I think that, listen, how the rules have changed stolen bases in a small sample size, we can see that, yes, it has. You know, Acuna had over 70 stolen bases last year. That's unthinkable in any other time in baseball history. However, I feel okay and feel good about celebrating this for Shohei Ohtani and kind of marveling just at how incredible it is because I know he's an incredible player. I don't think I'm watching a one-off here. Not that Acuna is a one-off, but I'm just saying I don't feel like, wow, we're going to remember that one blip on the radar when Ohtani had this one season and then we never heard from him again. This is not even close. We're going to watch Ohtani get back on the mound next year, and again, we're going to be wowed by how he's going to be able to handle both workloads. Is he going to go 50-50 again? I don't know about that, but I think that he's going to continue to stack these accomplishments on top of each other. And again, to go into this 50-50 rarefied air and to do it on a 6-for-6 day where he hits 3 home runs, 10 RBI, 2 steals. I mean, he's got the flair. Like, he does things and he does them in such a special way too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we'll see the pitching. You seem very, very confident that it's all going to happen next year. I just think that it's hard to keep pitchers healthy. And we look at the great pitchers of our era. They seem to be up and down in and out of the lineup. Your guy, Jacob deGrom, for example. I feel like if the nastier your stuff is, the more likely you are to get hurt. And for me, it's a gigantic risk because he's the best player without pitching. Yes, Aaron Judge has a great argument too. But I think Shohei consistently over the last 5 years he's the number one player why would you risk not having him on the field? So for me, I would just hit him. You're right, he's spectacular. Honestly, with the new stolen base rules, let's go for 60-60. Why? What's stopping him?
Well, I think the pitching is going to make it harder. I do. There's a workload there.
Right. His pitching, not the opponent's pitching.
Yeah, no, him taking the mound is going to be harder because he's going to have to dial it back just a little bit just to save himself, right? And if the Dodgers want to win a World Series, he has to be out there pitching. This is what the $700 million was for. I know he's not going to get it for a while because he deferred the whole thing, but that's what the money's for. That's why it wasn't a $500 million contract. It was $700 because they need him to pitch.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that because, I mean, $700 million, if that can buy you 5 MVPs, that's still a pretty good deal.
But that's not what I think the Dodgers are in this for. Yeah, they will, and they're already getting the marketing money and all that stuff from Shohei. I think it's got to be about World Series. And that's something where the Dodgers, who made the postseason yesterday, that's another thing that this win did, clinched a postseason berth, which they were going to do anyway. They've done it for 12 straight years, but Ohtani's never been to the postseason. He actually holds the record right now as an active player for most regular season games played without a postseason appearance. So it's important for him. They got to win. And their pitching has always been the thing, at least lately, that has kept them from this. And that was, I think, a huge reason why they went after him so strong, why they paid him all that money. They want him to pitch.
All right. They might. I think it's a mistake. I really do. I think you have the best hitter we've seen since Barry Bonds in his prime.
I know, but you don't even think that 50-50 is really all that interesting. I mean, they're not interesting. That's what words in your mouth. But you don't think the stolen bases mean anything. And you told me before, everyone hits home runs now, so you don't even think that's impressive.
Nobody hits him like Shohei. I mean, except for Aaron Judge. Honestly, I actually get a little nervous. All that sliding he does in the stolen bases, protect this man.
Well, but you can't keep him in a bubble, Pearl. That's the thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
to say don't steal bases, he's got to get himself in scoring position. They're trying to win games. So what is important? Just that he puts up numbers and that the team wins 65 games? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think it's really important not to burn him out.
See, I don't.
If the stolen bases are so important, then have him be a hitter primarily, not a pitcher.
I know, but he's special as a hitter. Yeah. It makes him in another stratosphere because he can pitch.
Well, this is there's so many versions of this argument. It's like Travis Hunter of Colorado, play him every down and see what happens. At a certain point, you protect players. Lamar Jackson, if you want to run him 25 times a game, you could. He'd be spectacular. But guess what happened? He'd get hurt. So why can't I say, hey, maybe you ought to be smart about how you use Shohei Ohtani?
Because it's not a physical sport as football. And I understand injuries happen. I get that. Pitching. But look at what he's doing as he's rehabbing from major elbow surgery. He's setting records and is going to win the MVP again. So I don't know. I think there's part of this where when you're in your prime, you got to go for it. And I'm not saying burn him out, but this is the winning time now for the Dodgers. Maybe not this season, again, because he can't pitch. But moving forward,
they've won 108 games a season. I mean, they do nothing but win. I understand you're saying the postseason, but trust me, there's no rhyme or reason in the postseason. It's been the NL. It's been the Phillies, the Diamondbacks.
And it's partly because the Dodgers don't have enough pitching. If they did, then they'd be them.
And I don't think it works that way. I really don't.
855-212-4227 if you want to weigh in on Shohei.
You never know what pitching staff and what bullpen's going to get hot. I mean, maybe Shohei makes a difference, but honestly, if Shohei's taking on a lot of innings during the regular season, do we know how he's going to have the pitching endurance to be good in the postseason? That's a big if, too. I mean, Clayton Kershaw is the best regular season pitcher I ever saw. He didn't do anything for the Dodgers in the postseason.
You are welcome to weigh in on Shohei. And EJ, can we get some poll results here for whether or not this was the greatest single season day in the history of baseball?
Yes. So we asked the question again. What was Shohei Ohtani's 3 home run, 10 RBIs, 2 stolen base game that clinched MLB's first 50-50 season ever the greatest single day performance in baseball history? Right now, 68% say yes. A little less than 32% say no.
Yeah. I mean, there's competition, and it's postseason stuff. It's Reggie Jackson hitting 3 home runs in Game 6 of the World Series. It's Don Larson. There's more. I mean, moments. You want to talk about moments. There are plenty of other moments that are more significant than this. I mean, like Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier, stuff like that. That's will be unmatched in history and baseball history. And like bigger game moments, too. But it was a great day yesterday, that's for sure. Okay, let's get to some NFL and college picks.
Maggie and Perloff's NFL picks.
Realize we've also added some college picks.
Yeah.
Maybe we should update that.
Tell
Think
the
about
voice
it.
guy. Hey, voice guy, you should be figuring this out.
Paul Turner. All right, EJ records. What are they, sir?
Yeah, so your records right now, Maggie, you are overall 7-3 after having a 3-2 week last week. Perloff, you had a 3-2 week as well, which brings your record to 5-5 for the season.
All right.
Nice.
Here we are. Would you like to start with college or pro? Let's start college.
College.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going with the big cheese here. I'm going to focus on the two key narratives of this entire season. I'm betting against Colorado, Baylor, +2, just because you could beat an FCS team. We shall see. I know Baylor's not great this year, but this is just a bet against Colorado. And same thing I did last week, Florida State under 44.5.
Yeah, that was a good one for you.
They reunite that incredible rivalry against Cal this weekend.
Listen, throw out the record books, right? We do two college picks here. We do one against the spread, one over/under. For me, against the spread, now this one might not be on one of your main TVs, but I'm going to lean into Penn State's ability to run up the score on anybody. Give me the 48.5. I'm going to lay it against Kent State. Now, Kent State is having a tough season. They lost 71-0 against Tennessee. This is not good. And if there's anyone who loves to rub it in a team's face, it's James Franklin. He will not let up the dogs. 48.5.
Ooh.
I'm laying it. Penn State against Kent State.
Yes.
And then, yes.
Former Antonio Gates was actually didn't even play football there, did he?
Yeah, basketball.
Yeah, go ahead.
And my over/under, I'm going to go to tonight's game. And I'm going to take the over in Nebraska, Illinois. Get a top 25 matchup here with Nebraska. Illinois is 24, Nebraska 22. Nebraska is an 8-point favorite in this game. The over/under is 43. This is a Dylan Raiola bet, and the fact that Illinois actually has good defense. But I am going to take the over in this game. Nebraska, Illinois, over 43. Those are my two college bets.
All right, I love it. All right, pros. I am betting against the Eagles until they show me they can play any form of defense whatsoever. So the spread is now, I'm seeing a 2.5 right now. Nick Kostos said it's going between 3 and 2.5 earlier in the show. So I'm going to pencil in the Saints at -2.5. My over/under, I'm doing Bears-Colts. The Bears defense is crazy good. So so far, I mean, it's been 2 games. I believe in the Flus, Matt Eberflus, going under 43.5 against the Colts.
Yeah, I thought about that one. Sorry.
Yeah.
And who's your player prop?
So my player prop, I have 2 names written here. This is going to be a coin flip right now. Let's go Rams receiver DeMarcus Robinson over 3.5 catches, because somebody has to catch the darn ball in L.A. I think this is probably a popular one because I've seen this written a lot. I'm going DeMarcus Robinson over 3.5 catches. We'll see. That Niners-Rams game could be hideous. But Matthew Stafford's still such a good quarterback. He's got to throw to someone.
Yeah, DeMarcus Robinson and Juwan Jennings, I think, are going to be like the big quote-unquote winners of this week for both the Rams and the 49ers because all the other weapons are hurt. Okay, for me, for the NFL, I'm going to zag here on everybody. Everyone loves the Ravens. Get it favored by a point against the Cowboys. I'm going to zag them and take the Cowboys. I think the Ravens start the season 0-3, and I think you see a little bit of panic. I think the Cowboys are not looking ahead to that Giants game and saying, oh, well, we got one in the bag. We'll even our record at 2-2. I think they're looking at how they just got totally destroyed against the Saints, and they've got something to prove. Again, this game is in Dallas, and at some point, Dallas has to figure out how to stop the run. If they can't figure it out this week against Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, they're never going to figure it out, and you might as well fire the whole coaching staff because it's going to be the same thing over and over again. What you saw against Green Bay, what you saw against the Saints, it's just going to be the same. So I'm going to bet that they're going to make some adjustments, and I'm going to go with Dallas, +1.
God, that would be wild if the Ravens were 0-3.
It would be, but couldn't you see it?
No, I totally can see it. No, I think your logic is right on.
There's so many holding penalties. It's crazy. They're killing themselves. Okay. As far as my over-under for the NFL, I'm also going with an under. Our pal Nick Kostos was into this one as well. The Cleveland Browns, the New York Giants, under 38.5.
Oh, that's the number?
I don't want to watch this game.
Just mark that down as a W for Maggie.
Well, we'll see. But I'm rewatching last night that Browns game against the Jags. I mean, their offense, like, it was enough to beat Jacksonville, but it wasn't that great. I mean, Deshaun actually had a rather good game in that game.
That's why you were watching that game. You mentioned that in the call, and I was like, why are you watching
Yeah, no,
Tony Khan's going to be here in 5 minutes. I got to rewatch the Jags game.
Right, okay.
I thought it was a cry for help. I didn't know what was going on there. Like, is Maggie being held hostage? Be like, that was a tough game. I think all Browns games are kind of tough, and Giants games are even tougher. That's why that's a really good pick.
Thank you. We'll see if it comes true. And then my player prop, Maggie and Perloff's NFL and college picks. Give me Davante Adams over 62.5 receiving yards. The Raiders welcoming in the Carolina Panthers, now featuring Andy Dalton. So maybe the game is a little closer, and the Raiders have to keep throwing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Davante Adams, like, is this Panthers secondary going to be able to keep tabs on him?
I mean, listen, you're going to have to throw for 300 yards when you're going against the Red Rifle, Maggie. You know that.
It's going to be a shootout. Thought about a Brock Bowers anytime touchdown, but instead going with the Davante Adams over 62.5 receiving yards. Okay, so let's recap it, Pearl. Your 5 picks are what?
Okay, I got Baylor +2 against Colorado, Florida State Cal under 44.5, Bears Colts under 43.5, Saints -2.5 against the Eagles, and then my player prop is DeMarcus Robinson, Rams receiver, over 3.5 receptions.
Okay, I'm laying 48.5 points. Penn State versus Kent State. Big number. It's a way to keep this game interesting. I am, for my college picks tonight, Nebraska, Illinois. Give me over the 43. And then for my NFL picks, I will take the Cowboys +1. I'm going to zag on everyone who loves the Ravens this week. And I'll go Cleveland and the Giants under 38.5 is the total. And give me Davante Adams over 62.5 receiving yards. There you go. We're off to a good start this year.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, it's early. Now, we did 3 a week last year. Now we're doing 5. Feel like you can have wild swings pretty quickly. And college is, when you added college, it's funny because it's Saturday. You're like, oh my God, I'm already in a hole.
Yeah, I have a feeling. I'm going to be sweating. I think this Penn State one, but we'll see.
That'll be fun. Yeah, because otherwise, why are you going to watch Penn State, Kent State? That's like one of the great things about gambling is like games you normally cannot tune into are fun.
One of the great things about gambling. That should be the tagline of our show. Okay, coming up, the president and CEO of AEW, co-owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, as well as Fulham FC. The very talented Tony Khan will join us next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So happy to have one of our pals in studio, Tony Khan, the multi-talented, as I always say, President CEO AEW, of course, the wrestling outfit, co-owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Fulham FC, owns a company called True Media, which basically supplies analytics to every professional and college team alive. Tony, thank you.
Great to see you both. Thanks for having me in today.
So happy to have you. We have tons of questions for you about wrestling, about football, everything. But you were at the game last night. You were at the Jets Patriots game because your Jacksonville Jaguars are going to play both of these teams. You saw Rodgers up close. We thought it was funny you had to buy a ticket to the game.
Well, it's like it was great. I'm happy to go and support the NFL, and it was really, really a great game, and great to see one of the all-time greats in his 20th season playing the game at the highest level. We played both those teams this year. Patriots coming up at Wembley next month, and then the Jets come to Jacksonville in December. Robert Saleh was former Jaguars linebackers coach, so always good to see him. No, it was great to be at the game, and it's great to be in New York. We've got AEW coming up next week at Arthur Ashe Stadium. It's the AEW Grand Slam, the biggest episode of Wednesday Night Dynamite all year. So many great things happening in AEW, and I always love seeing the two of you when I'm in New York.
Well, thank you. Can you get Aaron Rodgers to come out to the event? It's a Wednesday. I don't know who they play that coming up that week. Oh, they might be in London, actually, to play the Vikings, but would he be welcome at one of your events?
Anybody, yeah, absolutely. I've met Aaron Rodgers a few times. He's a really, really nice guy. And like I said, in his 20th season, I think he might be the greatest of all time, still doing all these great things. And, absolutely one of the all-time greats. We've had a lot of great stars from all over the world of sports. You both know as AEW fans coming over the years. I still think our all-time greatest celebrity pro wrestler is Shaq. Shaq got in the ring. He's undefeated, and you can't beat that.
Tony, so New York, I'm not sure if you're hanging out until next week for the event. To me, I grew up as a child of 80s wrestling, and there's something about New York. It's just different than, not to be parochial here, but I remember I grew up in Philadelphia, and it was a big deal if they were at the Spectrum. But when it was at Madison Square Garden or it was anywhere in New York, it's just bigger. Why is New York just such an important place for you?
Thank you, Drew.
Yeah.
It's so important to come to the mecca of pro wrestling, which is New York City, and bring a great event. And we've carved out our own really special thing here in New York with AEW at Arthur Ashe Stadium. It's our 4th year of doing the AEW Wednesday night Grand Slam shows. We've had some of our best matches and best moments there. And like you said, there's nothing like wrestling in New York City. And for AEW, we've really tried to make something unique with Grand Slam. I was just saying as I walked into your producer, it's the best locker rooms in pro wrestling to use the players' locker rooms at Arthur Ashe Stadium.
Yeah, fancy.
I'm in the referee's locker room. It's a great facility in New York. Is one of the greatest wrestling cities in the world. And when we come for AEW Grand Slam every year, it's right after the U.S. Open has just left Arthur Ashe, and that's really one of New York's best sporting events, in my opinion. And then we go in right after that, move in, set up the wrestling ring. Next Wednesday night on TBS, live at 8 o'clock. It's going to be one of our all-time greatest shows, I really believe. There's a lot of really cool things happening in AEW right now. And I agree with what you said. New York City always brings the big fight feel for pro wrestling. And for AEW, nobody had ever done wrestling at Arthur Ashe Stadium, and that's why we wanted to do it.
Tony Khan is here. You've also had success in London doing the shows at Wembley. What other international venues do you have your eye on, if any?
Well, it's a great question. We've expanded, we've international tours now. Last year we expanded into Canada as well. That went really well. We've done shows in Vancouver, Toronto, Calgary, all over Canada. And then this year we also went to Wales, which was a great success. The fans there were awesome. But for us, like you said, we've had great success at London's Wembley Stadium. We set the world record last year for ticket sales at Wembley Stadium. We did 81,035 tickets. This year we changed the setup, and people thought it looked even better. And it's crazy because it's kind of necessity being the mother of invention. Taylor Swift did a series of shows at Wembley Stadium the week leading into our show. And because her shows brought so much revenue, they really reduced the amount of time we had to set up for our show. And it worked out really neat. We were able to come to a really good agreement with them, and we ended up using her stage. And so the wrestlers came down the same stage, and we didn't have as much room. Last year we came out at the 50-yard line in the middle of the pitch, as we would say in London. And, this year we came out of the end zone. And so it didn't have as much seating, but it also looked better, and everyone thought the TV experience and just the grandiose nature of it was even bigger. So London is another place where the fans are great, and it has that huge fight feeling. But international touring, I'm glad you asked, because we're expanding into Australia. We're going to Australia next year for bringing the Grand Slam brand of AEW there, and looking to do some other exciting things internationally and expanding domestically, doing new things also. For the first time ever, we're going to run baseball stadium in America, Texas Rangers baseball stadium in Arlington next year. Very cool.
Man, does everyone look at the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift phenomenon, right? And just what it did for the Chiefs, which I know you guys have some history with, of course. But, do you look at your players in the locker room and be like, can't one of you guys date this woman? Like, she was sitting right there. Why step up?
Well, that's a great question. It's definitely been great for the NFL. And I'm on the fan engagement major events committee of the NFL, and there's no question that's been a very positive thing for the NFL. And Taylor Swift's one of the biggest stars in the world. And with AEW, it ended up being a great thing working with her team to be able to have all the events at the stadium, including an extra show on Tuesday that really, if we hadn't worked everything out, it might not have been possible to do it. So it was great for the fans of Taylor Swift. Plus, we got some tickets for the wrestlers, so everyone was happy.
Yeah. I was going to say, did you go?
I did not, because I was getting set up for the show in Cardiff.
Got it.
And also, I'm the general manager of Fulham, so it was really great being back over there with my team. And we won our home opener that weekend, so it was great.
I think I ask you about this every time. I'm a little bit obsessed with your travel schedule, because you try to you're at every AEW event, correct? And do you get to every Jags game as well?
I'm going to miss one this year, and I've only missed a handful ever because Wrestle Dream in Tacoma, it's not mathematically possible to make it to the Bears game at Tottenham, but I will be at the Patriots game at Wembley.
Right, like you have Australia. Like, as you expand internationally, you're going to make your life more difficult by being in the air all the time. How do you deal with it?
It's great. I get a lot of work done up there. We got Monday Night Football. Jaguars will be at Bills Monday Night Football. It's a huge game coming up Monday. And then I'll be coming back here for Grand Slam. I see the Bills.
Well, Tony, I mean, we've never really talked about this, but I'm from upstate New York. I grew up going to, my uncle was a season ticket holder during the whole K-Gun era. You're right, it is a big game. You and I both have a lot on the line here. I'm wondering, would you like to put a friendly wager on this?
I am barred from wagering, but I'll get you dinner at Ilio DiPaolo's up in Buffalo, which is also a wrestling establishment, by the way. A great wrestler, Ilio DiPaolo.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'll send you buffalo wings. You can send me, I'm not sure what the Jacksonville food, the cuisine, you know, the thing the city's known for, but we could do a little something like that if only.
A meal at the great Ilio DiPaolo's in Buffalo. I'll bet it.
Wait, I do not know this place. There was a wrestler named Ilio DiPaolo has a restaurant in Buffalo now?
Yeah, legendary wrestler, the most famous wrestler ever out of Buffalo. And it's really cool because, like my life, it's the intersection of the NFL and wrestling, because all the football, like I've had dinner with Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas there and all the great people from those Bills teams. And we've had some great times there, and also all the wrestlers come. And he was a great wrestler in Buffalo who built this restaurant. He was like Buffalo's Bruno Sammartino.
I mean, there's so much. People don't really think about this because Buffalo's got some other rivalries, the Jets, Pats, whatever, but Miami. But there's a lot of history with Jets-Bills. I mean, the Bills broke their postseason drought, go to Jacksonville, score 3 points in a playoff game. You guys beat us there. I mean, Tony Baselli haunts my nightmares, all that stuff. Tony Khan is here with us in studio. He's the president and CEO of AEW, co-owner Jacksonville Jaguars, and obviously Fulham FC as well. You've got the Grand Slam event for AEW happening September 25th. Arthur Ashe Stadium or TBS at 8 o'clock. Probably not the start of the season you were hoping for with the Jags. Obviously, you guys start 0-2. Both games very winnable. Thought you were winning both of those games. Sort of what's the general vibe? Trevor Lawrence minced no words after they lost to Cleveland. He said, we suck right now. What was your response to that?
I think that we have a great football team. We have a great group of players, and it's very early, 2 games into the season. Last year we opened up 8-3. And I don't think it's all about how you open, which, last year and the year before showed, because the previous year we started slower and had a great finish to the season. But what we've seen really is great progress in Jacksonville over the last couple of years. This is the first time we've ever had back-to-back winning seasons. We have, in my opinion, the best young quarterback in football, Trevor Lawrence. I really believe in Trevor, and also really believe in our coach. Doug Peterson is a proven coach, and also we've all been through a lot as a team. Like Trevor said, it's a really close-knit group of people working together in Jacksonville. We have a great group. Our defense been playing very well. We have great players there. We have a great new defensive coordinator, a great group of people coming together. The office is really close, and the players are really close. And I think as a team, like you said, we're really close. I really believe we can do this and have a good year with the Jaguars. And really, like I said, I think Jacksonville's made a lot of progress. And as a city, we're making a lot of progress there in Jacksonville. We're building towards the stadium of the future, and there's a lot of great things happening. And the fans are really behind the team, too. So I'm still really excited about the Jaguars season.
This is more of an NFL-wide question. Do you know scoring is down? People are starting to talk about it, and the Jags defense does look great. Their scoring is down a little bit. Can you point to one thing that's happening? Is it just early in the season and this is going to readjust, or is the league a little different than it was, say, 5 years ago?
Well, a lot of numbers are down. Specifically, passing touchdowns have been down, and passing yardage is the air yards. There's been shorter passes thrown. It's interesting. Maybe it's teams being conservative early in the season. I don't know. I do think a lot of the defenses have done very well early in the season. It's something to keep an eye on, but definitely as a statistician, you're absolutely right that scoring and some of those offensive numbers early in the season are down, but also, it's that's what makes the NFL interesting is the strategic evolutions of the sport. And it's my 13th season working in the NFL as a statistician. And absolutely the way the league has evolved over since we were kids growing up watching football, it's fascinating to watch. It's evolved, and the passing numbers, they grew. And it's fascinating to watch what's happening to the game right now.
Maybe a dumb question. Does defense use it? I always think analytics, so that's the way to score more points. Does defense use your numbers just as much as offense, or is it a different vibe there?
I actually, I think defense is very open to using analytics, and that's where I've focused on a lot of stuff, and that's where I've looked at doing things in the undrafted free agency market. There was just a documentary on NFL Films. I don't know if you two saw it. it came out Wednesday night, and it was following the Jaguars draft process and also AEW.
Yeah.
And it's on NFL Films.
Oh, we saw a clip, Tony, with you with the neck brace on. Can't miss it. Yeah.
It was very good. And, it meant a lot to me. It was really cool because I grew up watching NFL Films, and I think that's the number one sports documentary team in the world from the number one media brand and sport in the world, the NFL. And to have NFL Films come and track AEW and follow me around at the AEW shows, TBS and TNT, and then come backstage at the draft and be with us in our war room and see it all and make a documentary tying AEW and the NFL together and put it on. It was a big deal, and it meant a lot.
It was very funny where there's a moment where you're in the room and you've got the neck brace on because you had just been part of the AEW show, and you see Ryan Poles, the GM of the Bears. He goes, "Why is he wearing a neck brace?" And the guy next to him goes, "Oh, he got body slammed at AEW." And he goes, and you go, "No, I got pile drive." It was a pile drive. It wasn't a body slam. Tony Khan is here with us in studio. Just going back to the Jags for a second, because you're at this from the statistician point of view, but at the ownership level. You start 0-2. Is the urge to get more involved? Is the urge to sit down with the coaching staff, try to figure this whole thing out? Or is this a time where you have to actually pull back a little bit, kind of say, all right, we're just going to let you guys do your thing? How do you manage that?
Well, I actually, as a statistician, work with the players and coaches and have for 13 years, so it doesn't really change. I would do the same thing Doug and I do every week, and I have a great relationship with Doug. Also, we have a new defensive coordinator, Ryan Nielsen, and I, talk to him every week, and I do the same stuff every game, and we have great relationships, and we've been through a lot of games, and so it doesn't really change how I do my job day to day as a statistician, if that makes sense. Also, as an owner, we have a tight-knit relationship, and that happens whether you win the game or lose the game, and that's unfortunately sometimes the way sports go when you lose, but it's also the greatest feeling in the world when you win.
Tony Khan here with us. We're going to do something fun with you, a little bit of a different take on our celebrity NFL picker, because obviously you can't pick games. That would be a major conflict of interest.
Do you remember who killed it in the celebrity pickers last year? Seahawks fan?
Brian Danielson.
Killed it.
Really?
He did our celebrity picks, and
I think he went 5-0.
Yeah, he first of all, he was such an awesome guest generally, but he knew his football really well.
He's the best. He's the AEW world champion now. Right. He's also really somebody at the center of the big stories in AEW. We're coming back, like I said, we're Wednesday night at Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe, and the big question is, will the world champion Brian Danielson be there? His best friend, John Moxley, betrayed him, attacked him. It was really the worst betrayal in the history of AEW, and it's the biggest story. And now we've got John Moxley versus Darby Allin on Wednesday, which I think John, since he came back to AEW, probably the greatest world champion ever, the only person ever, may go down in history at the end of all time being the only person ever to be the AEW world champion, the WWE world champion, and the IWGP world champion. Came back from New Japan, a totally different guy. He's been asking to see Darby Allin every week. I think it's the most compelling story in wrestling, but I definitely don't agree with what John did to Brian, who, like you said, I think is not only a great guy, a great person in and out of the ring, the person I maybe respect the most of anyone in the world besides my parents and my sister and my family. I think Brian's the man, and I hope he's there Wednesday night because he'll have a chance to renew one of wrestling's greatest rivalries. If he can be there, if he can get medically cleared to be at Arthur Ashe Stadium Wednesday night here in New York City or live on TBS, 8 p.m. Wednesday, I cannot wait for this show. I hope Brian shows up to kick Nigel McGuinness's head in. Nigel McGuinness was voted the color commentator of the year by Pro Wrestling Illustrated, but his white whale is Brian Danielson. He's been talking smack every single weekend on TNT for over a year about Brian Danielson without fail. Not a week has gone by where he has not slandered the man. And I hope Brian Danielson shows up Wednesday night at Arthur Ashe Stadium and kicks Nigel McGuinness's head in.
There you go, Tony Khan.
All
right. So we'll have to all tune in and see. And that is September 25th, as you mentioned. Okay, so we're going to do a little different take here. Every week we have a celebrity pick NFL games for us. Clearly, co-owner of the Jags, that's not going to work. We don't want to get you in any trouble with the league. So instead, we're going to ask you for predictions on a couple other things that are a little more in your wheelhouse. Should we play the music? We can play the music, even though you're not making NFL picks.
Okay.
Time for celebrity picks.
don't know if you remember the show Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. It's a great show, Robin Leach. Okay, Tony Khan is here with us. So a few predictions for you that will not be NFL picks. Yes or no, will we see an AEW WWE show ever, Tony, in the future?
I can't say ever. I mean, anything could happen at some point. So it's hard to say. What's the timeline? Maybe in the next 100 years, quite possibly. Who knows?
How about the next 5 years?
That seems far less likely.
There we go. A Super Bowl in London, prediction time, yes or no?
I think with the time zones, it would be very, very hard to do that.
Yeah. How about a pay-per-view Super Bowl? This is something that former ESPN honcho John Skipper has been very open about. He believes there will be a pay-per-view Super Bowl in the next 5 years.
I don't think so. I really don't think so ever. I think the Super Bowl is the people's game, and it's important that the Super Bowl be available for everybody around the country to watch. And it should be broadcast to everybody, and everybody should have access to it for free.
Amen.
I agree with you there. Predictions with Tony Khan. Will Travis, Kelce, and Taylor Swift get engaged this season? Yes or no?
I don't want to get involved in people's personal lives, especially people I don't know personally.
These aren't people. This is Taylor Swift. I mean, this is.
You worked with her crew over in.
He's a great player. He was some great pick in 2013. Somebody I evaluated out of the University of Cincinnati and really respect. And he's a great, great player. He's a Hall of Famer and one of the all-time greats.
There we go. And final one for you, predictions. Will this happen? Will Trevor Lawrence ever cut his hair?
I hope not. He's got a great look going. Again, I don't want to get involved in people's personal lives, but he's got a great brand going off the field, and he's a great player, a great guy. I hope he doesn't.
Yeah. Do you have a single player on the roster who can find a pop star to get this? I don't know.
Olivia Rodrigo, maybe.
Yeah,
something
Olivia
like
Rodrigo. I would just say, if Travis did pop the question, maybe to do it in Jacksonville would be huge. But you don't have the Chiefs yet. Maybe in the playoffs.
Yeah. Tony Khan, thank you. That was our little twist on celebrity NFL picker.
That was fun.
And congrats again on all the success of AEW, Fulham, the Jags. Your statistician, your company, True Media, is so ubiquitous in professional sports and college. Congrats to your Illini, too. Got a big game tonight against Nebraska.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Illini, great start to the season. And
beat Kansas?
3-0. It's very exciting and really great chance for the Illini to keep having a great start. I think it's the first time since 2011 the Illini have had an undefeated start to the season at 3-0, and hopefully can make it 4-0, although I try to stay neutral about college football, so it's both great teams.
They could all be future Jags, right? Again, AEW Grand Slam, September 25th, Arthur Ashe Stadium, or on TBS at 8 p.m. Looking forward to it, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're back with more in just a moment.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff Show. Maggie, I got to give you a lot of credit.
Why?
I felt like you were going to really give us some of that Bills Mafia energy with Tony Khan, co-owner of the Jaguars. You actually were very professional. I mean, there was a little bit of trash talk underneath it, but you did not go full Bills fan on him, and I knew that took some restraint.
Well, I'm scared to death of the Jags, actually. I said Tony Baselli lives in my nightmares. I wasn't joking about that. He's put more Bills on IR than anybody. Andrew Bogusch today with headlines. I just realized I rearranged all of your stuff for Tony to come in here.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't need to do anything.
Can you still do the update even though I moved your computer?
We'll find out.
I mean, you really shouldn't. Apparently, it was the greatest day in baseball history. You should have it memorized by now.
I think I've got this correct, more importantly for you. Over the next 5 years, your Sixers will pay just three players, $714 million. Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid, who is signing a 3-year extension, said to be worth $193 million. There is also a player option for 28-29, worth another $69 million.
Sorry, does this fall under the category of a bad deal that's signed the moment the pen hits the paper?
Well, no, because the Paul George deal is so much worse.
Yes.
That by comparison, because Paul, and it's not. I love Paul George as a player, but he's 35 now. Embiid is 30. I mean, he's getting
Feels
old.
50.
He's getting old fast.
He's been old.
Yeah, I mean, he played old when he was young. This is
thanks, Yogi.
But yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. I just did a yogism. But you know, listen. Yeah, Maggie, pretend you're a Sixers fan for a second. You got to be okay with this. Because what's your other option? It's too harmless. It's actually nice. The expectations are lower than you'd think.
Listen, I already got one team that can't get to the big game. I don't need another
The pressure's on the Birds. The Sixers are fine. They just sort of float in and out, go out in the second round. Everyone's like, when's football season?
Let's talk about something that matters. What happened with Shohei?
Let's do the Jets first, because only the Jets could look that impressive in prime time, but have to discuss post-game if their quarterback shoved their head coach. After the Jets took a 14-0 lead last night, Rodgers came back to the sideline and high-fived Robert Saleh, who then went for a hug, and Rodgers pushed him aside with a stare as he walked away.
He's not a big hugger, usually, so I didn't know he was going for the hug. He likes to do the two-hand chest push as well, so... but he talks a lot about two-score leads. So I just kind of gave him a push and said, 2-score lead.
Sounds like nothing. I'm going to assume they hate each other.
Yeah, like the whole internet just assumed that they were the worst of enemies after last night. You're telling me this was a normal thing?
That's what he's telling you.
By the way, Robert Saleh's not a hugger. No chance. That guy's so sunshine and rainbows. He's hugging everybody.
Yeah, he hugged the interviewer at halftime. I mean, right.
Kaylee Hartung got a hug. Yeah, you tell me he's not a hugger? No shot.
I actually spent a lot of mental energy on this last night. What could Aaron Rodgers have possibly been mad about last night? There's nothing. I got nothing.
No, I think that's just, I think that's Rodgers' sarcasm. Like, in the moment, I don't think it was anything other than him just being like, we're not hugging, and like staring at him and then like laughing as he walked away, trying to pretend to be tough. It's not a thing. Unfortunately.
I know. What a bummer.
I know. By the way, I got a little update on two things. Yesterday, Chris Lopresti was in for you, Bogish, and he has a theory that Rodgers has been dropping these big words into press conferences because either someone's daring him to do it or he's doing it as like a joke. So to get Bolero and bucolic and boondoggle and like working all them in. It's obviously got to be the McAfee show. I bet they're the ones who are daring him to do this. Number one.
But they're not doing it on air as far as I know.
No, but I bet it's a behind-the-scenes thing, and then at the end of the year, they're going to be like, ha, here are all the words that Rodgers got
That's
in.
a popular thing. I've done that on games. I know friends that do it. Like, you talk beforehand, like try to get Britney Spears mentioned in, like, randomly. Like, it just happens. So that's definitely plausible.
I came off as I don't think you were here, a big jerk because I was
maybe not for the specific example, but
but wait, were you here for Bucolic Day?
No,
that was yesterday.
So nobody here knew. These guys didn't know bucolic. I thought that was not the most advanced word, like a bucolic setting.
See, I think I know what it means.
Yeah, it's one of those words like you might not know exactly what it means.
But you know how to use it correctly.
Right, like if somebody says, "Oh, it was a nice bucolic setting in the woods," like I wouldn't be like, "What?"
But I'd rather know what moobs are than bucolic, and you didn't know what moobs were.
I've actually been asking around a lot about that. It's about 60-40 people know what moobs are.
Okay, good. So I'm still winning, kind of.
But it's not like you looked at me like I was the biggest moron in the world because I didn't know men boobs were called moobs.
Well, I mean, if the shoe fits. But here's the thing, the other thing.
Yeah.
You should know moves. I love also Perloff saying,
I should know moves?
You worked in a professional locker room. Like, the moves was never said on or off air at Dan Patrick's show?
It's actually a radio show.
No, I know, but it was never in that clubhouse. No one ever said moves.
No, I mean, everyone said, oh, he should be wearing a bro or a man's ear. That was common knowledge. The dude needs a bro.
I love how Perloff said, everyone thought I was a jerk for saying this yesterday, so let me bring it up again. It's great. Second other thing about Aaron Rodgers, there was a poll put out on the Action Network. We never got to this today of who is the most annoying player in the NFL. Rodgers won in a landslide.
That's easy. I mean, he's so exposed. I actually thought number two would be Patrick Mahomes because he's the second most famous player. But it's not. It's his buddy, right?
It was. Second place was
Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Where's Baker Mayfield in that bad boy?
He's
5.
not on it.
I thought.
No, Mahomes was 5.
Oh, Mahomes was 5. Okay.
Odell Beckham Jr. was another.
He still counts, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't understand that. He doesn't really do anything anymore, unfortunately.
And so it went Aaron Rodgers, Travis Kelce, Odell Beckham Jr., Patrick Mahomes. Sorry, 5 was Dak Prescott.
No Tyreek Hill?
As NFL's most annoying player is done by Action Network.
I feel like Tyreek Hill should be on that list somewhere.
I think he's getting a little sympathy because of what happened with the police.
But he's always in the media.
He's
Talking
always challenging somebody at something.
Sorry, Bugs. What else we got?
So the Jets won last night, 24-3 over the Patriots. Rodgers threw for 281 and 2 scores. Patriot QBs sacked 7 total times. Jacoby Brissett got 5 of them. He threw for just 98 yards. Drake May then made his debut for their last possession. 4 completions, 22 yards. He was sacked twice. Head coach Gerard Mayo did not commit postgame to Brissett, remaining their starter. And a WNBA record 20,711 fans watched the final regular season game of Caitlin Clark's rookie season last night in Washington. Clark 8 points, 8 assists in 20 minutes in a game that meant nothing for her Fever. The Mystics won it 92-91. Guys, back
Make
to
sure
you.
you tune in on Sunday if you're out there. Caitlin Clark in the Fever, 3 o'clock, ABC.
This is all
Do not miss it.
Perloff wants to win a bet against me that Caitlin Clark's first WNBA playoff game is going to top 2 million viewers. It's not that I don't think it's a big story. You're going up against the NFL.
Yeah, but
good luck.
I like this bet because I didn't give you some crazy number. 2 million's not that outrageous.
I think it's kind of high.
We'll see. If I had said 4 million, then you'd win. But I think they can get to 2. They're always between 1 and 2. It's not that nuts. I think everyone's in their house. If you're listening right now, this is a PSA. It's halftime. Flip over to Caitlin.
Just leave a TV on in a different room on the game if you want Perloff to win.
If
Don't
you
even
happen
watch
to
it.
have a Nielsen box or however that works.
Yeah, just you, specifically you, sir, with the Nielsen box. Bogish, thank you. Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you to Ryan Botcher. Thank you to Andrew Kaplan, Guido's Coffee Drinkers. Thank you to Nick Kostos, who joined us, Tony Khan, who joined us, and of course, Guido. Have a good weekend.